Disclaimer: the following Boundless PodTrap episode contains strong opinions that some listeners may and will find offensive. If you cannot accept or respect others with a differing opinion from yours, then fuck off.
Rolling sound.
I like turtles.
Shush! Oh, righty. Let me see your war face.
Now y'all ain't planning on fucking these chickens, are you?
Picture it. Sicily, 1920.
Aren't we fucking funny?
Streaming from the Midwest, right in the middle of the U.S. From Omaha, Nebraska, you're listening to the Boundless PodTrap, your entertainment podcast where we touch on all topics, from the crazy and absurd to the sacred and profane, and even the useless and unnecessary. The Boundless PodTrap knows no bounds. And now, here are your hosts.
Hey. What's up, boys?
It's been a while.
It actually feels longer than it.
It's been a week.
Well, 2 weeks for us, but 1 week for the world.
No.
And that's why I smile.
We do these things live.
Oh, this is true. In front of a studio audience.
We need a laugh track. Why don't we get one of those?
No, keep it down. Keep it down.
I thought that was an ambulance coming at first. Oh.
That's one of many there. Our fans there. So, how you guys doing? This is episode 22, BPT 022, and we're all in tutus.
I'm not.
Oh, you took yours off.
I'm wearing a tube sock.
I
thought you said this is our tube sock episode.
That's not what I said.
But you could be.
You didn't get the memo. Man. So, what is today? Today's the 8th. I haven't done any, I wanted to do the Dow Jones is actually running pretty in an upward, bearish. That's bullish, and we're not going to go there. How was your weekend? I finally today, just like a few hours ago, I got the second shot, the Pfizer shot.
Is that why you look so terrible?
Probably. Plus, I just went to Fernando's off of Pacific to get some Mexican food. I went to go.
God.
Yeah.
We got to make this a short episode.
We'll see. They have their cheese, their queso dip. It's not a dip. It's very meaty cheese. So you have
meaty cheese.
Yeah. You have to scoop it out just to put it on your tortilla.
Yeah. This episode's going to end quick tonight.
Oh.
Gets me so frustrated.
Excuse me. It tastes even better going down the second time.
God, well, open a window. This weekend was good. It was Easter. We didn't do an Easter episode.
Oh, yeah. He's risen again.
Yeah.
Why should I care?
Well, yeah, Lonnie, I figured you wouldn't, but it was nice to. I spent the weekend at my sister's on their.
Did you find some eggs?
No, but my nieces and nephews, I think they had 200 and some eggs that they were looking for, and they have a lake, and
that's a lot of eggs. Are those plastic ones, or did you guys actually buy real eggs?
It was real eggs, and we egged the neighbors afterwards just to make sure the eggs didn't go to waste.
Right on, as you would.
No,
that's one of the craziest things I hate about Easter is that first mow that you do after Easter, and then a fucking bloody ass rabbit comes through your lawnmower. Man,
oh, why would you mow? I don't care. The earlier you mow the grass, the more often you have to do it.
That's not true.
Why do you got to go and make things so complicated?
Avril Lavigne? No.
Just trying to think of it.
Do you go all out with your girls for Easter?
We just went over to the in-laws and did a little Easter egg hunt in their big yard. Mostly the plastic eggs. My oldest one was very nitpicky. Beggars can't be choosers, and she was definitely a chooser. So she was finding the real ones, and she's and she just throw it back. I'm you got to get those too. We got to pick them up, man.
I remember as a kid, Easter to me was like second Christmas. My family kind of treated it that way. We got lots of presents, and I enjoyed it because we had, looking back on them now, they're creepy looking, but my mom bought a ton of these vinyl blow up bunnies of all different shapes, colors, and we had those all over the house. So I enjoyed them because I could wrestle with them. And
were they part of the Halloween exhibit?
No, they were our Easter exhibit. But yeah, it was As an adult, though, to me, it's like I look back and my thoughts are, why did we care so much about Easter? Like it really...
Because you're celebrating Ishtar, the pagan goddess of fertility, right?
Bonnie's look says it all right there. If only people could see.
Can you say that look a little louder?
Quit playing games.
Is this with your heart?
I was going to say, is he saying music quotes tonight?
It sounds like it. I think that's all he's... It looks like he's wanting to kick us out. He's about to say bye to us.
God damn it.
Do we pick up on what you're doing?
Yep.
Oh my God. Well, sorry.
And every time you say the band, I'm switching bands.
When we say the band?
Yep. When you say the band name, I have to switch bands. So you said Avril, and I'm only talking in lyrics of the band.
Are you Elvis Presley right now? So wait, what was the one that we just did? Quit playing games with my heart.
I'm assuming that's
NSYNC.
Backstreet Boys.
Okay.
I mean,
how would you know that? I see. I played it off.
Are you guys familiar with like the Shreds videos?
Oh my God, you introduced me to those. Where they're on Oprah.
Yeah.
You are my fire. But the thing is, the Shreds version looks more real, or sounds more realistic than the actual version.
If our listeners are not familiar with the Shreds video, especially the Backstreet Boys Shreds, go check that one out. I'll leave a link in the descriptione.
I want to know the guy that does the bass in Backstreet Boys. Why does he look like he's like 30 years older than the rest of the band?
Because he probably was 30 years older.
And
it's probably one of their dads, the only person who can drive that band.
I don't know. I will,
otherwise, JC can't get his pack of smokes, and I think JC's from NSYNC. So
yeah, he is.
This whole thing just went.
I don't know that. I will admit, I've listened to some Backstreet Boys songs because I have them on like my playlist at work, and there's a couple of songs that I'm like, these are actually pretty good. Like as an adult, I'm like, they're pretty good. And what I like to do sometimes is any song, especially older songs, I like to go on YouTube and look up a live version, like one of their current live versions. So if they did something like 2019 and it's a song that came out in like 1978, it's cool to see the difference in how it sounds, what the people look like. And I was looking up some Backstreet Boys live ones, and
of course you were.
I will tell you, they were not. I thought they were, because I didn't know anything about them when they were popular, because that wasn't the cool thing to do.
We were all in our little tribal groups and stuff like that. You were supposed to hate them. You're cool to hate.
But I always thought that they were like really good dancers. They can't dance worth a shit. Like their choreography is the simplest stuff out there. I could even do it, but NSYNC, I guess they were the dancers.
Yeah. Except for Joey.
Fat Joey Fatone.
If
fat one.
If NSYNC battled Backstreet Boys
as far
in
as
a death match, who would survive?
I believe they did that on Celebrity Deathmatch, didn't they?
I think if that really did happen, like the world would all be in Justin Timberlake's corner.
Yeah.
Like it
he
wouldn't
has
be
to come out.
Like everybody
He's
else
a smooth criminal.
in sync could die. Everybody else in the world would be like, protect the king.
Yeah, nobody would even know who the other ones were.
He is our next savior.
I think what Lonnie's trying to say is everybody wants to rule the world.
Yeah.
I see what you did.
I'm trying to get him back.
Tears for Fears. Switch the band.
No.
We should do an episode devoted to where we just have to use song lyrics the whole episode.
Easy.
We used to play this game on road trips because we spent a lot of time in the car, where it's like go down the alphabet. We all had to say a band that started with A, and then B, and then C, and then we do books and we do movies and just the past, the time.
You lose people on the books there.
Yeah.
I do. If I have trouble going to sleep, I do that to help fall asleep.
You count books
I will
that you haven't read?
I will think of like, I will start at A and I'll think of like, okay, let's do a topic, movies that are trilogies. And then I'd have to find one that starts with A, and it relaxes my mind.
We played a board game like that. That was like that Blockbuster game, that Blockbuster video game. Yeah. I just masturbate.
Yeah. Just rub one out. Rub one out. Yeah.
That's what I do to try to calm myself, but it doesn't put me to sleep.
You can make a little game out of it.
I scream when I masturbate, so it doesn't calm me down.
Can you give us an example?
Okay. It sounds like
And every time Tracy comes in, like, are you all right? Oh,
No, she just disappointingly.
you're cleaning that up.
Lonnie.
She says that.
Yeah, she's like, you're gonna wake the babe.
She's reading a book while you're masturbating. She's next to you.
Fucking crocheting.
Can you crochet me a towel, please?
It's more like this one.
Whoa.
Cum stains.
Boner watch.
Oh, man. That's gross.
Yeah.
Who has a bigger boner right now?
Oh, I feel like our boners are only going to get bigger by the time we finish because the sexual tension in this, it's going to rise.
The table of the tipping.
Temperature is rising, and so am I.
And
That's a
it's
lyric.
tipping away from me, so I think I'm winning. So what do we got planned for tonight?
Because
that was awkward. We all looked at each other like,
I wasn't prepared to talk.
One eye glazed and one eye full of lust. So it's
Uh-oh.
oh, God.
WrestleMania is this weekend for all you wrestling nerds. It's back to the two-nighter.
This used to be such an exciting time of the year.
It really was. Like, and I don't know about you, but like I go through my love of professional wrestling's like a goddamn roller coaster. It's like sometimes it's at its tippy top peak and sometimes it's at the floor bottom. And like there's companies I absolutely love. I love New Japan Pro Wrestling. I love CZW. I love GCW. And I will always love those companies. They are my bread and butter, my heart. But then every once in a while, I'll love the big name companies. I'll love AEW. There's always a soft spot in my heart for WWE.
Mm-hmm.
I will always love WWF because I love pandas. Last year's WrestleMania just felt awkward and weird.
Yeah.
And they're doing it again with the two-night. It's just going to feel awkward and weird. There's going to be people in the crowd. I'm positive they're still going to be pumping in crowd noise.
Oh, yeah.
The set looks beautiful. They're going back to the big set.
It kind of takes
big
me out of
pirate
it
shit.
when you hear like a big crowd roar, but you only see like a few faces.
Screens,
You're like, okay, I can't even pay attention to the actual entertainment.
Right. Well, baseball season started too a couple days ago. I think we're like seven games in. I think today was the 7th game, 7 or 8.
I saw like a little meme of a girls basketball. It's like somebody's like, that's messed up. You know, they're not shutting anything down about like the people who are arriving at the girls basketball. It's still the same people.
100% free. No, but MLB started
because
back
it's
up.
like 10 people.
And they're letting fans back in. And like you could see the difference in the players from there being no one in the stands to maybe maybe 1,000 people in. And for some of the teams, that 1,000 people was their normal.
That's what hypes you up. You get the adrenaline when you can see the people. Yeah, like you play to the people, you know, their wars.
Like the Orioles, they're used to playing for 1,000 people, or
now it's just a scrimmage.
The Brewers, they're used to playing for 1,000 people. But when you think of the teams like the Yankees or the Red Sox, or they're used to having 30,000 people at every game. So I'm sure that 1,000 people doesn't matter to them. But for those journeyman teams, that 1,000 people, that's great for them. So that people in attendance, like it's going to change a lot this year.
It is. And I mean, back to wrestling, what your first topic that you were talking about, like I complain about WWE. I will always love it just because of the memories I had. I mean, my dad got me into it.
You were in wrestling?
Yes. And, but like my buddies and I and junior high and high school, we were all obsessed with wrestling. We would go watch pay-per-views. We backyard wrestled, obviously running a professional wrestling company now as an adult, but my passion for it is probably at an all-time low right now. I don't know if it's because of the pandemic or if it's just because being involved in it. Like I loved being involved with it, like script writing, doing tech work, video work, all that stuff. Running a company, I enjoyed it. I mean,
just the overall production of a show.
It's just being able to pull off a show and put on a show for people and just have it be like above and beyond what you're normally seeing in like the area. But people don't know the backside of it. Like, I made a lot of great friendships over that and I will always cherish them, but
we've also lost a lot of good friendships because of it.
Yep. Lost friends, egos, like people, they don't understand the ego that is involved in professional wrestling. And I mean, I could honestly say right now, I'm probably hated by a lot of people because of the fact that I left a certain promotion and started up another promotion. And even though these people that hate me are getting false information, you just have to have thick skin and suck it up. But it sucks because you have people hate you for false reasons. And
that would have been me right now.
Yeah.
I would have joined the local wrestling thing, and me and you could have been enemies right now.
We could have been.
Man.
We are.
True.
We have to talk after this.
It's just the bravado of certain men and certain people. It's like they choose their ego and their place in standing over a simple conversation.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's just it. I mean, there's a lot of lies and stuff spread, and I'm not going to get into details. That might be for a later podcast, but
revealing it all.
Going back to WWE, like I don't necessarily agree with going back to things being 100%. Like
Absolutely
I know
not.
Biden said, I think by July, everything will be back to 100%, but people have to still wear masks at events and stuff. But it sucks. WWE is at an all-time low in my books.
Absolutely.
But I respect the hell out of them for not having crowd members up until this weekend.
Right.
For WrestleMania. But it's just, like you said, it affects performers, whether it's wrestling or a sport. It's the crowd that gives you the adrenaline.
Oh, absolutely.
And when there's no crowd there, I mean, WWE is the prime example. Their shit sucks so badly right now. I find it more entertaining to watch kids backyard wrestle. I mean, the WWE is so bad. And NXT is the prime example of it. Like, they are by far my favorite wrestling promotion out there. But without a crowd, even their stuff is hard to watch.
And there's certain things that they need to pull the trigger on that would really help out their product, but they don't want to because it would be wasted on a show with no people.
Yeah.
Like, they need to pull the trigger on Becky Lynch coming back. They need to pull the trigger on Ronda Rousey coming back. They need to pull the trigger on Brock Lesnar coming back.
Yep.
They need some title changes, but those things, they don't want to waste them on a crowdless arena.
Well, I guarantee you The Rock was supposed to be at this year's WrestleMania facing Roman Reigns.
100%.
But because there's no crowd, why you're not going to waste something like that?
Yeah.
I mean, I hope that we can get back. Like, I think WWE could start doing half, like, filled arenas.
Right.
I mean, I think it's this Saturday is the spring game for Nebraska, and they're doing 50% capacity. They're doing every other row. And it's just like, well, we'll see how things go. I mean, if I don't know. I think people think that with this vaccine just makes it that this world's going to be bulletproof, and it's like, no, it's not. There's already tons of people that had the vaccine that are testing positive for COVID, so it's not bulletproof.
Well, circle, boys. Tomorrow I'm getting my cootie shot, so we'll see what happens.
Lucky.
I will be the only one that's not vaccinated.
I'm fully vaccinated. I got my shots today. I don't have worms.
So you'll be fully, you'll be half, and I will not be any.
Yeah. Well, I feel like animals now, like when you have to like drop your kids off or whatever, they're like, have they got their shots?
Yeah,
they're good.
And you know what the funny thing is, like, almost every zombie or pandemic movie, it's like you watch them now and you're like, I can see how this could actually happen now.
Yeah. And if that shit, I can see how we're fucked as a society.
Okay. Well, you want to move it into the
let's
the bulk of this, the thick of it.
Let's talk about it.
We got some topics.
We got some topics tonight.
I got a topic. You got a topic. We got a topics.
I got topics.
I'll start with mine.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Because I had something planned, but because I wrote it in two, so we have our two podcasts, and I normally write them both in the same one, but I wrote tonight's for this podcast and another. Shit, I will.
Sorry,
so I had to come up with a different idea because there's just too much to my original idea to try to do from memory. So I did one on the fly. This will probably be quick, just kind of get our opinions on it. And I will preface this by saying, like, I hope nobody gets upset at any of our that know us that at this what we're going to talk about.
I have no idea what you're going to
talk
about.
Pull up your big boy pants.
I kind of hope people get upset. That way we can have some discord.
There's two people in particular that might listen to this that I think might get upset with
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
Breast enlargements aren't necessary.
Okay, well
that's
on to the next. No, so with the weather getting nice, we're into spring now. I mean, today's a bad example because it feels like winter again outside. It's pretty chilly. But with the weather getting nice, you're going to start to see more motorcyclists out.
Oh,
so
you mean donor cycles?
So
speed bump.
This is kind of a thing I want to talk about with you guys, get your opinion. The whole thing of who's at fault with all these motorcyclists getting killed out there.
Locally.
Before I get your answer, I will say that I feel that it's always put blame on the person in the car. And let me say this first. I understand that it goes both ways. I'm not saying that every single motorcyclist that killed, it's the motorcyclist's fault. I'm not saying it's the car person. There's obviously blame on both ends, but
usually if you have a sports bike, it's usually your fault.
Yeah. And that's just it. Every time I see somebody on like a crotch rocket or anything like that,
you don't do wheelies on the freeway.
They're doing, wheelies. They're doing like 90, 140 miles per hour, whipping in and out, cutting cars off, clipping their front fender. And
it's so impressive. It's like, oh my God, did you see that guy? Honk at the other guys. Did you guys see that guy? That was amazing. I want to party with that guy.
They do that. And then they clip a car, roll off their bike, get killed. And now the person that's driving the car, they're the bad one because you got to watch out. You got to be extra careful. Watch for motorcycle. It's not the driver's responsibility to watch out for stupid.
Right. It's a manslaughter charge as well. It's not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what's kind of irritates me now. I know people that have gotten killed in motorcycle accidents. I know people that have just gotten injured in motorcycle accidents. One of them I know for sure it wasn't their fault. And the other one was 100% their fault. But yet the person in the car got arrested. I don't know if they got jail time, what happened, but I just think that, I want to see what your opinions are on it. Who do you, Justin, let's start with you. Who do you think is more at fault or what could be done?
When it comes to fault, it has to be situation by situation. There are a lot of people who get a motorcycle strictly for the adrenaline. There are a lot of responsible riders, and the majority of the people I would like to say are responsible. They use their signal. They're not going in between cars on the freeway, riding on the line and stuff. It's like they're following the rules, the obeying the traffic, because they have a license, a cyclist license. But yeah, it's situation by situation with me. People in like mostly, sport bikes or even sport vehicles, like they like to show it off and they get a little headstrong. Recently, there was a death of a kid who I sleep in his room, the room that he grew up in. It was an 18-year-old, was he 18? 17, 18-year-old kid. Very tragic. It wasn't his fault. Somebody turned, and swiped him. But yes, you do have to be more cautious and more aware because like having a single headlight, your depth perception is totally off. You don't know how close or far they are. And I think it's also kind of a fact that like a lot of people these days don't necessarily use all of their mirrors, especially before merging. People merge without even seeing, like there's so many times I have to like honk at people who are merging right into where I'm at.
Well, there's also, I'm without a car right now and I'm using my sister's car and she has this light that shows up on her side mirror when somebody's in your blind spot. And I think that too many people out there also rely on that technology. Yeah. Like, oh, it's not lit up, so there's nobody over there, but it's like maybe the light bulb's out. Maybe they're just in that one spot where it's not detecting it, and then they go over and boom, accident.
Nobody pays attention to the other people's blind spots. They think that they'll be safe. It's like, oh, I know how to drive. It's like, yeah, you know how to drive, but other people might not. And it's kind of like how like truckers have, like, if I can't see you, you can't see me, type of thing, or the other way around. It's like, yeah, you have to be kind of defensive driver. You have to look out for other people as well. It's like, no matter how skillful you think you are.
What are your thoughts, Lon?
So I want you guys to write this down and put this in the memory banks, but on what's today? April 8th of 2021, I'm actually going to agree with Justin.
Justin just like popped out of his seat.
First time it's ever happened, but I'm going to actually say it with the caveat that coming from a state where split laning was illegal, and split lanings where a motorcycle on a highway or on a block street can go between cars.
Oh, yeah.
It's fucking terrifying.
And that's legal here?
It's not legal here, but it was legal in California.
Oh, I thought you were saying.
I was going to say, they're harsh over with just
Oh,
going up.
Absolutely. But yeah, in California, they could go on the side of the road and go around you. They could go between you and the other car through the middle of the lanes.
Even be a thing?
I don't know, but it 100% legal as long as they stayed at the speed limit posted and you went at a safe distance. You had your helmet, you had your goggles on. You were safe to go between cars.
If you can wheelie through it safely.
Yeah. And it's like Justin said, it's a case by case situation, but really with motorcyclists, there's definitely two different classes. Well, even three different classes of people who ride motorcycles. There's the road riders, who are your typical like Harley and Honda riders who just want to get from point A to point B.
And the open road.
Yeah.
It's the open road.
They're usually better about not weaving in and out.
And they just want to meet up with a group of people and they just want to ride from point A to point B. They want to see the country. They want to enjoy their ride.
They're all about signaling with everything. They'll flash even the other bikers.
There's the sign from biker to biker.
I do that whenever I pass a Mini Cooper. I open the door and stick my hand.
I got to do all four. Be like, my car's got 4 months left. Then there's the crotch rocket riders, which what I refer to as donor cycles. Those people
don't
just
give a fuck.
Those are like the fast and the furious of motorcycle riders. They just want to see how fast they can go and show people how small their penis is.
Yeah.
Like
they're like the MMA fighters of, it's like, oh, you're going to have a small career.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
It's a super cool tap out shirt and a mohawk on your helmet. And then there's the dirt guys, like the people that have souped up dirt bikes who like to ride in dirt. They like to jump shit. They like to just go out and have a good time on their bike. They half the time don't even have plates on their bike.
They're usually not on the road.
Yeah, they don't want to hurt anybody. They just want to hurt themselves.
Right.
It's like the dirt bikers at the 4x4, like
and
they're just going like 40 miles per hour in a school zone, like up your street. It's like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
There's kids who play out here.
Right. Yeah, but the different classes is really the how I'm gonna treat you. Like if I see a big fat dude with a leather jacket on riding a Harley, I'm going to give him as much space as possible because I respect that man more than anything because if it came down to shit happening, he's more than likely going to have your back.
I just noticed that you did not respect the Davidson though.
Eh.
Davidson had a huge part in the whole Harley Davidson dual ship.
When I say Harley, it's implied.
It's not fair to him.
But yeah, and my brother had a crotch rocket growing up, and he knew better, especially being a medic and a fireman. I don't know how many people he scraped up off the side of the road because, like, how are you going to control something with your hands and your ass going 150 miles an hour and you hit a rivet in the road?
Well, I always, like, a lot of bikers, because the law in Omaha and Nebraska, you have to wear a helmet.
That's starting to become everywhere.
Iowa, you don't have to.
It's a no helmet state, yeah.
And it's just like there's a lot of riders out there that it's like the people that don't want to wear masks.
They're
it's
like, he just hit his head. It's nothing important.
They're just like, I don't want to have to wear a helmet. This pisses me off to wear a helmet. Why the fuck would you not want to wear a helmet when you're
unprotected from everything?
Yeah. You get in an accident and your head hits that concrete, you're dead.
It's kind of like the same thing. It's like you said with the masks. You're being told you have to. So now you don't want to.
No.
It's like you're told you can't smoke until you're 18 or 21 or whatever the fuck it is.
You're an adult baby, basically.
So you 100%. Yeah. I can't do crack, so I want to do all the crack now. Well, congratulations. Now I pay for your living situation.
I guess maybe population control, it should be a good thing. Those can weed themselves out, I guess.
You know, it's funny, kind of off the subject a little bit, but going off what you just said, I read something online that said only 30% of millennials are getting the COVID shot. And the first thing that popped in my head was good population control.
Darwin Awards.
See,
right.
You throw me in that though.
No,
I'm not. I have no plans to get the vaccine.
Well, you also have pre-existing conditions, so that's different in your case.
Yeah.
I have pre-existing conditions. It's different in my case. I'm getting it, so it's going to be a coin flip between the two of us. Who's going to crack out first?
I mean, this is the thing is like, I want to get the vaccine, but as I said in, I think the previous episode, we don't know shit about this. Like we don't know the long-term effects of this. Everyone's just freely putting this in their body of something that hasn't even been around for a year. They didn't do many tests on it. And so I don't know, but back to the motorcycle thing. Like I said, I don't know who I'm siding with. I feel that people in cars get a lot more shit. It's almost like when it comes to custody and stuff like that of kids, it usually goes in favor of the mom, even if she's a cruddy mom. Usually the courts will favor the mom. And that's how I feel car drivers are. I feel like they're the dad of the situation because they get shit on all the time. And that's my biggest thing is the other day it happened to me when I was driving is this person just comes whipping on like a crotch rocket through. And I mean, I swear the car in front of me, I swear they clipped the front of the car, but apparently they didn't. A friend of ours, Lonnie, a couple of years ago now, it would have been probably about 2 years ago, almost to the day, they witnessed a motorcycle accident that killed 2 people. It was a friend of ours, his wife. We were at their place. She left to go get the kids or something like that.
Is that the one off of 72nd?
It was on Cornhusker, right by that Menards and Cornhusker, right before you got on the freeway. And she had just left, and all of a sudden we heard like a shit ton of sirens going off. She called him, and I could hear her. She was all panicked. And she's like, oh my God, I just saw people. I think they're dead or whatever. She saw these 2 people riding a bike, and this wasn't their fault. There was a kid driving a truck, and he turned through a red light, and they were coming and clipped them. And she saw the whole thing. She said the sound of it, like of the bike just scraping across the cement, was like probably something she'll never forget. And she said that both of them were just laying there face first and didn't make it. And I have a scanner app on my phone, and so we turned it on. I mean, I don't know what the code was that they said, but basically they just said that they're dead. And
seeing some of those crashes and stuff, there was one I saw like in Mexico where like this pretty good looking chick was laying on the ground and part of her brain was out, and she's still like gasping, like, oh man, she's a few more minutes and she's gone. Mm-hmm. You can see it glimmer out of her eye.
It's I feel bad that she had to witness that, and that's going to be something that's in her memory forever. I guess the moral of this is, I guess there shouldn't really be a finger pointed. We should all look out for each other.
Yeah. Right.
I think
normally the minority is going to be, kind of like the mother or pretty much any situation type of thing. It's like, they're the innocent one. It's like, no, you have to, situationally.
And like I said, as much as it kind of kills me that, there's a lot of motorcyclists, they probably cause it to themselves, this harm, because of how recklessly and sporadically they're driving. As a car driver, you should watch out for these people. And as a motorcyclist, you need to be careful. Just because you have a smaller vehicle and you can get into smaller spaces, it doesn't give you the right to drive like a maniac and try to whip in and out of as many lanes as you possibly can. We just all have to kind of look out for each other.
I think what's worse about that is not necessarily whose fault it is, because, shit happens. There's freak accidents all the time. Like a hubcap can fall off and like just create like a 5-car pile, whatever. Yeah. I think the worst thing about it is like if it's a loved one, and that you're close to and you're emotional about it, it's like you want to go online and like express your feelings and you want to blame the other person because it's, you wouldn't see like the narrative that gets spun ahead of time. It's like, yeah, the police are supposed to be doing their work, but we have availability now that we can get on like certain free apps where we can see like street light cameras and stuff like that, or Starbucks camera type of thing, or Ring doorbells and stuff like that. That's legitimately open, I guess, to the free domain. But they want to go with the first narrative and then hype it up and over sensationalize it, as though they do with almost everything.
I did one thing I was kind of looking up. I think it was 2019. I don't know. I think 2019, there was over 5,000 motorcyclists killed in the United States.
Jesus. 5,000?
Over 5,000. I mean, you put that, you think about that, that's like, Jesus. I mean, that's how many a day?
Man, in all 43 states?
No.
Well, and you take into account, like, some of the good that motorcyclists do outside of the fact of riding motorcycles, like some of the gangs, like Hell's Angels get a lot of guff for a lot of the stuff they did in the 60s and 70s. And I think that a lot of people of the older generations, that fear still emulates in them. So they push that fear into the younger generations. but like the Patriots Army and the Hells Angels, the stuff they do, especially some of the
stop bullying type of things.
Yeah, and the counter protests they do
against I love those guys.
The deaths. And
Death of Soldiers and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like,
the soldier stuff, the Westboro Baptist Church protests they do. They're taking their voice that used to be such a feared voice and standing up for
peacefully standing
up for the weak and the people who can't use their voice. It's beautiful. And like stuff like that are those grizzled, basically, like, I don't know if you guys remember the California Raisins, but those people who don't have a smooth part of skin left on their body because they've been in the sun so much riding that bike across and across and across the country again and again, but they do it because they love it. They never ask for a dime. They just, if a child or if a veteran or if an active military member or if someone in need calls on them or they see that they need, they'll be there in a fucking heartbeat.
In a game.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Would you guys ever own a motorcycle?
Absolutely. A dirt bike. I'm that guy who loves to ride and hurt himself.
See, I thought about it, and in my age now, I have no like midlife crisis or anything to
Fuck you. It's not a midlife crisis.
Like Lonnie, I have no midlife crisis like Lonnie to ever own one. Like a dirt bike sounds fun. Like as much as I like to, I was always an adrenaline junkie trying to get that air and, that would have been fun. But like, I am a little bit more cautious when it comes to like my knees and ankles for how much I fucked them up. Like
the only reason I would get a motorcycle is so I can, anytime I'm driving with a beautiful woman, which is never, she'd have to wrap her arms around me.
Now, the motorcycle wasn't the midlife crisis. The dick pills probably were, but the midlife crisis definitely was not. And
speaking of dick pills,
Wish, the Wish app. Oh. They're cheap. They make your breath stink.
They're not blue either.
I wouldn't know if they were or weren't.
I was watching
like dish soap.
Before we get on to the next topic. I really do have a story about dick pills. There's this porn star out there named Sean Lawless, and he has a YouTube channel.
Of course, you would know about dudes.
He had this YouTube channel I stumbled across, and I watched one of his videos. I'm like, this is really interesting. And so I started watching all of his videos. It's pretty neat because he does like vlogs before he goes to a shoot, and he'll answer questions and give advice, and then he'll have behind the scenes and tell some of the things he told me. It's like, wow, I didn't know this about the porno world. But one of them was, he's like, now I always take a backpack with me. And he's like, a lot of people ask, well, what's in the backpack, Sean? So he's like, today I'm going to show you. And he went through everything. The final thing he pulled out was prescription of Viagra. He's like, got to have these blue pills. He's like, I'm young and all this stuff. But he's just like, you don't understand in the adult filmmaking world, you can't say no. Once you agree, it's like you show up on set and he's like, you don't sometimes know who you're going to be working with until you get there. And he's just like, sometimes not a good thing. He's like, sometimes they just physically aren't attractive. Sometimes their hygiene is really bad. And he's like, you have to push through it. And he's like, sometimes you don't get excited. So he's like, these little things right here, you got to have them because he's like, you got to do the job. And it's like, I would have never thought about that.
That's the good thing about like nobody knowing your sex face, because that utter face of disgust could be your sex face. It's like, oh.
When we were trying to come up with punishments for you, that was on the list, is giving you a Viagra and making you go to church or making you go to some family function.
Oh my God, yeah.
That was on the list.
Which folks, we were going to give you his punishment on this episode, but the punishment that we did come up for with him, we did run by him just because it was a little somewhat extreme, and he brought up a good point that his job is the only thing that could be in jeopardy with what we did. So we're going to have to think on it again, because I'm telling you right now, Justin is a tough one to try to punish because he doesn't embarrass.
Sure, I do.
He has like a higher threshold for pain. And the thing is, we don't want to really hurt each other. And what was the other thing? Like,
I'm going to do some Harry Curry on video.
Yeah.
Seppuku.
Yeah. We don't want to really hurt him, and we don't want to spend a bunch of money.
I know. Like, I'm telling you, some of the ideas we have, I mean, it would be extravagant. Like, we can tell you this one because it ain't going to happen. We were planning on having you do a one-man show of Grease, and you were going to be playing all the parts, and we were going to have about 20 to 50 some people there watching you do it, but that would have taken a lot of
that's
money.
Musical. I don't necessarily know everything,
and you would have to practice it a little bit beforehand. So that was one of the ideas we had.
Huh. Interesting.
The other one, we were going to kidnap your kids, and
I was actually
back.
I wanted somebody to. Did I don't remember if I said this on the podcast, but it came up in my memories feed not too long ago that
kidnap your kids.
I wanted somebody to kidnap my kids. I wanted to like.
I wanted to see something you want to put over the air. Like, hey, if anybody's won, I got a couple kids you can kidnap.
No, because kids these days, it's hard to try to have them learn the severity of certain situations. It's like, no, you have to stay with me. Like, if you cannot hear my voice, you are way too far. Stay over here. like my oldest and my youngest likes to chase her around and like in the store. I'm like, no, stay here. You're going to, stay in the cart. Otherwise, and they want in and out. And it's like,
it's a dangerous game.
But it's
like, whoever agrees to do that.
That's why I'm asking like my friends or something like that. I'm like, hey, if anybody want to like kidnap each other's kids. And
we didn't tell anybody else here at the mall that you're doing this. So you're probably going to have people chasing you.
Well, I wouldn't say like in a public place, but like at a park or something. Yeah.
There's a camera over there. Where? He was over there. Justin, tell him I know. I don't know this guy.
I don't know. Fuck
Where's
this guy. I don't know.
Daddy didn't ask him to kidnap you.
But yeah, I mean, if they can see the severity of a situation, like them getting taken, that they're going to listen to their parents now. It's like, hey, I know I don't want to be kidnapped and duct tape in the back of somebody's candy van, and
or they're going to have terrible PTSD for the rest of their lives.
Every time.
Thankfully, Jeremy doesn't have his candy van. Otherwise, we would have made it happen by now. But
they're going to get kidnapped, and the only thing the little one's going to be screaming is "Connie Chung."
Connie Chung. No, Jeremy.
No, Jeremy.
I don't know what I did to her.
Going back on the motorcycles thing, like I had my wife has actually kind of been wanting to get a motorcycle.
Your wife's so cool.
She's okay, but I'm like, I'm not entirely sure about that. Because where would we park it? But then I had a cousin who actually tragically passed away from a motorcycle accident. And I was talking to my aunt about that. And I'm like, my wife was also talking about getting a motorcycle. And, I know the dangerous stuff that happen when somebody passes away and the risks that somebody would take with that. And so I was like, well, you can just have his because he's not using it.
Oh my goodness.
I was going to say, thanks for bringing the jokey mood down, bro.
Wow. The views and opinions expressed on this.
Thanks for the James Dean flashback.
Jeez.
Jesus.
That didn't happen.
Okay.
I mean, my wife does want a bike, but
yeah,
my cousin. I don't think my cousin's died from a.
My cousin Kendall.
Let me give him a call real quick.
He's a ghost.
It was sad. They're actually one of the extras in the Unemployed movie.
Oh yeah,
it was a little bit over a year ago. Unfortunately passed away. He got hit on his motorcycle, and that was one that really, like, I didn't know him well, but it was just like, oh my God, like, just to know that we filmed something with him and then that happened. And I mean, he was a good kid from what I heard. I mean, he was younger. I think he was only like 22 or something like that. But I look back at the Unemployed since we filmed it. Obviously 3 people in that movie passed away, and they were all young. I mean, 2 of them were in their 20s, and one of them, I think he was like in his mid 40s. And yeah, let's go on. Do you guys have a happier topic? That was getting depressing. So
yeah, we'll take it over to my topic here.
Let's hear it, Hossboy.
Well, Hossboy?
Hossboy.
All right. I want to get a little bit intimate with you boys.
Aren't we already?
If that's cool.
We're sitting Indian style, touching each other. Wearing tutus and tube socks.
This is more Spire style.
That reminds me of something. I'm 99% positive that you haven't, but have either of you guys seen the movie Short Bus?
No.
Yes.
You've seen Short Bus?
Or is it Short Bus? The new one? No. Fuck. Bad Trip is what I just watched. Bad Trip. Yeah. I have not seen Short Bus.
Short Bus is one of the most, I can't say iconic, but it's a very sexually free movie.
Is it?
Yes, Jeremy. And there's a scene where 3 dudes are in like a triangle position, and they're all giving each other head.
Oh, this sounds like a great
Yeah.
movie.
No, yeah. And the one guy's singing like a microphone into the one guy's cock. And that what you just said, just for some reason reminded me of that scene. He's singing the national anthem
You mean-
into the guy's cock.
Are you?
Oh, say, can you see? And it's just, for some reason, the way you just said, sitting spider style, just reminded me of that scene. So thank you for that.
You mean our promotional photo shoot we did almost a year ago for this PodTrap? Just make you think of that? I just stumbled across the Dropbox on those. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm glad some of these were not posted.
They're going to be now.
Yeah. I was thinking about posting one.
Some of our listeners, curious, some of our testicular listeners.
Let's post some of those pictures for our viewers. And for some reason, Lonnie loses his shirt halfway through it too. He's got a vest on with no shirt on underneath.
Looking back at those, I'm like, when did he take his shirt off? Like, it's just boom, gone.
When don't I take my shirt off?
Very suggestive. So, okay, we're getting intimate. Let's go.
Yes. I wanted to talk about marriage proposals.
Oh, this is going to be rough, boys.
What is a marriage proposal? What would you consider a marriage proposal? Except for the obvious.
What do you mean, except for the obvious?
Scratch that.
Okay. Because the only answer to me is obvious.
When somebody proposes marriage?
It's when two people finally commit to one each other that they want to spend the rest of their life together.
Right. Okay. Do you have a definition?
It's a proposal of seclusion.
Okay.
Or a proposal of, why can't I think of the word? Hold on.
I know what word you're thinking of, and I cannot think of it either.
A proposal of
when you're trying to take
bonding,
things to the next,
or a proposal of
uniting.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be two or more people depending on the type of relationship that there is. But yeah, commonly when two people in a relationship, one of them asks for the other hand in marriage or foot if they don't have hands, because we're not.
I was going to say
like
where to.
Yeah, but like it's defined as an engagement, as a promise to marry at a later date. Usually, sometimes they can marry on the spot. Yeah, nice. Didn't you post that picture?
Yeah, lots of times. I ain't scared.
But yeah, so marriage proposal. It's often today to take a relationship to the next level. Typically, the tradition is that a man bends the knee and he asks for her hand, often asking for permission from the father sometimes or the family. What does it mean in today's day and age? What is marriage proposals today?
Today?
Yeah.
I think people don't understand the meaning. I think today proposals are just, they feel like they have to do it, or that if they don't do it now, they're going to, I just think people rush into things.
Right.
Which
Me too. I think so
I
too.
used to be against that.
Rushing
but there's two ways of rushing something, and it's like I think most people do it the wrong way. They rush for the wrong reasons, but in recent times I can understand why some people rush.
Right.
Because the feelings they have.
I think the courtship part of the relationship has really been terminated because the ability to be able to communicate in so many different ways has become so much easier. So the whole like swooning and let's go to a movie, let's go to dinner, let's go do something fun has really decreased, but to be able to communicate has went way up. So all of the short-term relationships are moving a lot quicker, I think, now.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, there's a benefit, I guess, to being married when it comes to financial purposes. But a lot of the traditional stuff is kind of pushed onto people, like you guys are saying. And I think people have that idea, that concept of like, this is how it's supposed to be. Right. It's like, I've always been firm, like of an artist mind that like, why should I define my marriage or proposal like everybody else's? Like, I don't want my relationship to be pretty much your relationship. We're 4 different people, if you want to put like 2 different couples, but 4 different people, 2 different chemistries. It should be its own thing. Right. And doing the traditional way, like bending the knee and I beg your hand type of thing, like that's something that I've saw like a sense of romance in it growing up. But the more that I've kind of picked it apart, I'm like, I don't know about that. I think that's kind of very cheesy. And some people, women, expect that to happen. Like,
right. And it comes to the point too, like however long you're in a relationship with that person, the marriage and the engagement, if you're in a healthy relationship to the point where, hey, let's go from dating to getting married, it's kind of inevitable, I think.
Yeah. If it's gearing into that direction anyways, like.
Right, yeah. So the whole, I'm going to make your dreams come true, please be my wife forever. Well, I mean, I've been living with you. So all we're doing now is sharing taxes.
See, I can't go off of, because I'm not married. You two are.
Right.
I haven't even come close to being married.
That's one of the reasons why I wanted to ask this, because me and Lonnie, our wedding was different because we got married together. Yeah. But you have the opportunity of attending so many people's weddings, being a photographer for weddings.
Videographer, thank you.
Same thing. You did pretty much all of it.
I've definitely have been to a lot of weddings, especially in the last 5 years. I mean, back to the proposal thing, and I don't know how this is going to come out. Like, I have it in my head, and it might come out differently. But first of all, I think that the proposal shouldn't be a stereotypical proposal. I think it all depends on the person. I feel it's traditional that the guy should be the one to ask the woman. Not saying it has to be that way, but in my mind, I feel like they should. I mean, if a woman asked me to marry her, like, obviously not just a random woman, but somebody I was in a relationship. If she took it upon herself to ask me to marry her, then I would go with it if I felt that it was the right thing. But
then you would have to remind her that you wear the pants in the relationship.
Yes. No. But I think that it depends on the person. If you know the person, that, which you should, you know them pretty well if you're asking them to marry you, you know a lot about them. So I think you should make that proposal unique and special for their liking and things that they're interested in. And I also think that, you know, here you said the whole traditional, Justin, like, you know, getting down on one knee type of thing. Like, you don't really need to do that or whatever. You don't necessarily need to, but this is the thing that's going to come out wrong, I think, how I word it. But a wedding and a wedding proposal, I think, means more to the woman than it does the guy. She's been daydreaming about stuff like this since she was a little girl, ever since she put her bed sheets over her head to make it look like it was the veil or whatever. And I think that the guy should try to make it as much of a fairy tale or dream come true for her, because you should hopefully only ask one person to marry you in your lifetime. We obviously know in today's day and age, it's probably more common to get divorced and have multiple marriages.
Most divorces are caused by marriage.
But you should really take the time with that person and make the proposal special for them, something that they'll never forget, that they can be able to tell their kids and their grandkids about, oh my God, your father, this is what he did, and brag to her friends and stuff.
I'll treat him like shit for the rest of the time, but he did this.
I mean, you can tell the difference here. I'm hopeful because I haven't been there.
No, that was me growing up. I was that little girl, you know. Growing up, I romanticized a lot of that. Like, I was a hopeless a last of the romantics type of thing. Like, I dreamed of my wedding, and it wasn't anything like a traditional church type of thing. I've always wanted like a tropical wedding. And that's what my next, before we go there, I also wanted to input something here. Nowadays, what marriage is I think, or not marriage, but proposals. I think there are many people who are just using their proposal as a staged event to go viral because they're just trying to record something.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I wanted to get how was your proposal? How would you have proposed? Have you thought about proposing to somebody? How would you do it?
You had to put me on the spot now.
Let's go with Lonnie since his has already happened.
So a little caveat before I say, so for me.
So apologize ahead of time.
To me, marriage was punishment for shoplifting. I had no ambition to ever get married when I was young. Even the fact that I loved my wife.
You stole her virginity, so you had to marry her? Is that what you're saying?
No, I stole her shoes because she had bigger feet than I did. It was just one of those things where I was like, I was content with dating all my life. Like, I knew I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her, but the concept of getting married was just nothing that I ever really had any interest in. So the night I asked to marry her, we were at a show. We were seeing CKY and him.
Nice.
It's Sokol Upstairs.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. And my wife is vegan, for those people who don't know, for the 7 of you who are listening. And she didn't eat all day. And we're at the show, and like always, she passes out from the heat and from dancing.
It's just so romantic.
I know. It's a long story.
You drugged her, is what
She passed out from heat exhaustion and from dancing. So I grab her over my shoulder and I start walking through the crowd. And
smacked her in the doorway.
People are getting out of the way, and people aren't getting out of the way. I'm just shoving to the ground, and I got that mom train strength. And I get her off to the side, and we dump some water on her face, and she comes to, and instantly her eyes flutter open, and she sees hymns on stage, and she just instantly goes back to dancing.
Wheelie way though.
And I was like, this is irritating. And my sister was there, and she's like, oh man. So as we're exiting the building, there's like 6 of us, 3 in our car and 3 in another car. I'm like, hey, go ride with them. I need to have a talk with her. So we got in our car. We drove down to this lake, this little peninsula of this lake we live by. And I was chewing her ass out. I was yelling at her.
Oh.
Sorry. That came later. And I was yelling at her. I'm like, this is bullshit. This is going to happen. And every time you do this, it scares the shit out of me. And I hate it. And like, this is super stressful on me. You do this all the time, and it's very uncomfortable, and I can't take it anymore. I'm like, so if you ever do this again, I'm leaving, and it'll be like I was never there. And the thing with me and Tracy is we've been friends since we've been little kids. And I'm like, I will completely disappear. You will never see me. You will never hear from me again. I'm laying it on thick, and then just randomly popped out of my mouth. But I'm like, and if you can do that and never do this again, I promise you right now, I will marry you. And she goes, really? And I'm like, absolutely. And she goes, I do. And I was like, wait, okay, I guess we're getting married. That was how I asked my wife to marry me.
Oh,
you told me you were masturbating and she was crocheting. And after you finished up, you're like,
no, that's it. That's after marriage. When you get married, expect that.
Nice. See, I'm married currently, but I was engaged, a few times before. So I have had 3 engagements. One of them, I flew her out to...
Is your name Ross?
Hi.
Geller?
She was a lesbian. Yeah, no, one of them, I flew out to Europe with me and engaged to... proposed to her.
Fucking money bags?
No kidding.
It was government money.
I could see a fucking McDonald's from where I was proposing from.
So I was about to have a laundromat wedding.
We were at fucking Lake Manawa.
No, it was when I was in the military, so I just flew her out with me and had to hide her in the barracks for a while. Yeah.
Is that code for something?
Yeah, like that doesn't sound
she wasn't
like
supposed to be on post, so we had a sneaker. She was an illegal immigrant.
Were you on the top bunk or the bottom bunk?
Yes. I had we were doing room inspections at one point. So my sergeant, he was kind of like going through my shit. And he's like, what you got in here, Milani? What you got in here? I know it's in here. And then she was hiding in the closet, and he opened it up and she's like, hi. I'm like, he's like, I didn't see nothing. Okay.
Oh, wow.
But yeah.
That's a realistic doll, Milani.
It just made me feel like, what's this?
Hi.
Giggity, Quagmire. And so I was also engaged to a Hmong chick.
A what?
Hmong.
A monk?
Hmong. A Hmong chick. She, from Laos.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
But, and the thing is, with her culture,
did it taste like chicken fried rice?
With her culture.
Oh, I'm the one who gets the dirty look.
Nice,
You
this guy.
fuckers
nice
are clicking.
Nice sidestep, because I'm like, don't answer.
No, with her culture, like, they were big into, like, they call it, like, spiritism and stuff like that. And dowry, paying a dowry. And I was kind of against that. My whole take with a dowry is, like, if I have to pay for you, like, you're my property, like, and I don't want to feel like that. And so I don't really agree with that.
I thought the dads paid the dowry.
No, you have to pay the dad the dowry.
Really?
Yeah.
I was kind of on the same thing with Lonnie, that it was the woman's dad that paid you.
No, they're not like, hey, I'm getting rid of her. Do you want her? Like, they're not exchanging.
The school system failed us, Lonnie.
But since she was married before and has kids, and she's like, well, the dowry will be, I'm like, oh, so you're breaking, used goods or whatever? Is that how you're
fucking breaking the lease?
It's like I feel like your culture doesn't even appreciate like the person that you are. And she was kind of a not so much of a good person. But
So the third time was a charm.
When I did propose to her, she was watching like a food show and
like the garlic came out. And he's like, "Oh, baby."
Let's make it like this.
No, I made mention of it, and I was just playing around, and she's like, "Hold on," and I'm like, "Oh." So I was thinking in my head, I'm like, "What if this was a real proposal?" And so then she, after that food segment finished, she's like, "Okay, now what?" I'm like, "Will you marry me?" And
she seriously put you on hold.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm like, disrespectful, but she was all about the rock. She doesn't care about anything else. Like it was.
Oh, she was hoping Dwayne Johnson.
It's like she wanted the diamond. She wanted something like, and I wasn't necessarily. Well, we'll get into that a little bit later too. But when my third proposal,
that went off without a hitch.
It was New Year's, and
it's so fucking typical.
It does seem typical, but we were just at like the Jones cigar shop up in the Dundee area, and then it was all loud and stuff like that. And
you saw her putting something in her mouth, and you're like, she needs to be my wife.
She was my girlfriend at the time, so my Goya fin.
Be my wife.
Yeah, I like
smoke this stogie.
Yeah. My wife.
Marry me so I can make love goosh on your stomach.
I would like to make the romantic explosion inside of you.
Wow.
Yeah. And
oh my God.
So I just asked her, I'm like, "Hey, you want to marry?" No, it wasn't like that. I asked her that night if to be my wife, and she obliged happily. I mean, like, look at me, right? No.
So what'd she say?
And they celebrated by flicking garlic up in the air.
And I didn't have to pay a dowry or anything. And
that you know of. The bill's coming. Let's see.
It's like her mom is from the Philippines, but yeah.
So is it to me now?
Yeah. So how would you?
I'll explain. I've had one girlfriend my whole life.
Oh.
Yeah. Thank you. And that was 18 years ago. And we were together for almost 2 years. Thought never crossed my mind with her because I knew quickly into the relationship that it wasn't going to work out. And I've always told myself I don't want to get married. And I truly, up until recently, believe that. And like you had mentioned, I do videography for a lot of weddings and stuff. And there's a lot of weddings where it's big and elaborate. And then there's others where it's just so low key and casual. That's like, wow, this would be a fun wedding. But lately, and we've talked about this before, my heart has been taken by somebody who is taken. They know, I've told them. Not going to say who right now. But, I've thought about it, even though we're not together. It's just like, God, I could see myself, like, I like this person a lot. We have a lot in common, and she makes my heart bump, 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 pitter patter.
That's not good for your condition.
I know. But again, like I said, it would all depend on the person. And if it's this person, I have certain idea of what I would do, but I don't know. It's not, because then I'll give it away who it is if other people are listening.
Come on.
But let's just say they're a big fan of the show The Office.
Okay.
As am I. And I would probably do something
like Dwight and
along the lines of possibly the cameo, that cameo thing. I'd probably see if one of the Office characters would do a cameo, and then
you want them to do all the hard work.
No. While they're watching it, they'd be like, "Oh, and by the way, I think somebody behind you has something they want to say." And then when they turn around, I would be, unfortunately, for you don't like this, Justin, but I'd be on one knee and I'd probably ask them. That's just one way, but it would all be the spur of the moment type of thing. I don't know. It's weird saying this because it's like I'm not even in a relationship with this person, and I don't know that that'll ever happen because they're with somebody else right now. That's pretty serious. But all I will say is that if it ever were to happen, even if it was somebody else, it would be pretty memorable and special because I like everything that I do. I like to go all out for it, and I would spare no expense. Is that what they say?
So for all of you single ladies listening right now who have an interest in a romantic person such as Jeremy Luash,
I'll be sure the person in the Philippines is probably
all single ladies.
Yeah, no, and that's one thing that I was doing videography. It wasn't my company; it was a friend of mine's company, and he was telling me about the guy that used to do it before. And it's like, yeah, he's like, these bridesmaids would hit on him all the time and stuff like it. And I mean, I was just like, really? I was like, this is going to be, and not that I was doing it for that. I'm doing this because it's a job, and I was always professional. But it was like, he would show me pictures of like bridesmaids that would hit on. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I was like, oh, this is going to be good for me. I don't know how many 20 plus, 30 plus weddings I've done, and not a single bridesmaid has ever showed any interest in me. I don't even think they've given me a double take.
It's just for the bridesmaid
and
status.
Yeah, I don't think I forgot this story, motherfucker. So there was one wedding in October, because October is my busy month. Mm-hmm. And so I can't do anything because I'm working the store during the day, because I'm a manager of a Halloween department, and I am a manager in security at a haunted house. So I go from the job to the haunted house, and I'm almost 7 days a week. And I couldn't make one of the weddings. So Lonnie here was filled in for me and did videography. And you tell the story, motherfucker.
So I'm doing videography for this wedding, and I'm just walking around shooting people dancing, filming some B-roll while the night's getting about close to being done.
Just so everybody knows, my middle finger is going to be up in Lonnie's face the whole time.
I'm out there, and one of the bridesmaids she comes up to me and she goes, "Oh my God, can I see your phone?" And I'm thinking like, oh, she must have dropped something. And I'm like, yeah, here. And she's, "Thank you." And she's not turning on the flashlight. And I'm like, weird. I wonder what she needed it for. And she goes, "Okay, here." And she gives it back to me, and it's on the contacts page. And I seen a contact I didn't know. And I'm like, huh. And then instantly my mind says, oh, I just got a phone number at a wedding. And instantly I'm like, oh, I got to call Jeremy.
So for those of you that think that I bitch a lot, which I haven't lately.
That was like 20 minutes as soon as
this guy who is married, who has had
women want what they can't have.
Well, yeah, but
I'm not very good looking, by the way.
He's not at all.
I'm not. No, I'm comfortable saying it.
Would bang.
His first fucking wedding gets a goddamn number from one of the bridesmaids.
One of the bridesmaids.
I've never seen her.
Slutty one too.
I never seen her, so I don't know what she looks like. But even if she was burly and looked like she's a lineman for the San Diego Chargers or LA Chargers, whatever they are now, it's the principle that this guy on his first fucking wedding, after I had done 20 some plus weddings, gets a number.
I mean, if she didn't give me her number, I'm pretty sure she would have been a bull dyke. But
oh my God,
she mistaken him as a lesbian.
But as I said, I was not there. I was there to do a job, and my job was not to flirt and ask for numbers. So
yeah, maybe that's your problem.
No, it's not my problem, because every wedding I do, these bridesmaids are
playing
all
it stupidly. You accidentally dropped your number in my phone.
They all have their
I'll delete it.
Their husband or their boyfriend is there. So yeah, and not even the B team or C team ones.
I want to say something.
Go ahead and say it.
I'm not going to say it now.
No, you got to say it.
It's mean.
You can't leave all of this.
No, because it's mean.
Say it.
To who?
To you.
Say it.
No.
Do you think Lonnie, I'm numb to this shit.
You promise you won't get mad at me?
Well, no,
you promise you're not going to hit him like you did last time?
No, I won't get mad at you. Go ahead.
What's stopping you now?
What? What do you mean what's stopping me now?
Ooh, look at him.
What does that mean?
Do you feel that?
I don't even know
what's that taste in your mouth? Is that the taste of victory?
I don't even know what that means. Explain.
You don't go after girls.
Oh.
Anyways.
But this is, Lonnie, I'm not just going after something. This is true feelings I have right now.
I know. So that's why when I said it, I'm like, no.
Don't even go there. It's not like I'm a home wrecker. This is true feelings.
No, 100%.
This is love.
I know. That's why I was like, that doesn't make sense.
I don't hate you. I forgive you.
So I want to bring this back to, I made mention
of like... Shut the fuck up!
Rings.
Fuck you,
next! Oh my God. I can really feel the hatred amongst you. My sexual tension is actually rising, though.
And the table is now tipping my way.
Your anger sexually excites me.
Do it again. So, like, there's a common trope of how, like, a ring is supposed to be, like, 2 months' salary. Fuck no. That's a hell no for me. That can be 2 vacations with a 2 month salary for me. How much did you pay for your ring?
So my ring is actually my great grandmother's ring.
Right.
It's been passed down to all the women in our family.
Why did you get it?
My mother gave it to me to give to Tracy.
Okay.
And it was actually, we went to get it fixed because her fingers are like Great Lynx sausage fingers. Like they're huge. Her fingers and her feet are gigantic. She doesn't listen to this podcast, so I can say that.
That's because she's outside the door.
Right, sitting there sharpening her knife.
She's got a
so we had to go get it extended some, and they're like, well, do you want to insure this? And we're like, yeah, sure, why not? And the kid insuring it's like, I can't insure this. That has to be insured by our manager. We're like, well, why is that? He's like, because this is a depression era ring. We're like, well, what difference does that make? He's like, because it's not diamonds. I'm like, oh,
Fuck
okay,
diamonds.
so you're saying it's just like fake. That's fine. He's like, no, it's not fake. It's glass. Like, isn't that a fake diamond? He goes, yeah, it's actually more than diamond because it was depression era. So it's actually a glass opposed to a diamond. They made so many less of them because it happened in that depression era. So it has to be blah, blah, blah. And we're like, oh, whatever. We just want to make sure in case it breaks, we can like get the teeth repaired or whatnot. And over time, the stone did break when we got it replaced. But had to go through this whole rigmarole, and it's just cool to have it.
Right. See,
I
things
mean,
like
it
that
wasn't worth dick, but
things like that. I mean, I would think that would be worth more because diamonds are as much as somebody would pay for it.
basically,
And the thing with diamonds is people see them as something that's ultra rare or something like that, but it's not. It's extremely common. It's just like the De Beers company or whoever it is. They have a mining monopoly on it.
Belching in my
Sorry.
direction. Oh my God.
he's gonna
There's
get one of the two.
There's
of
a
us.
screen on this microphone, but it doesn't stop belch.
Unless he
garlic.
goes
Whoops.
up with it, it's gonna get one of us.
But no, the De Beers corporation, they pretty much hike the prices up out the wazoo, and they're extremely common.
Yeah, diamonds are a flex. Like, there's really nothing more.
And it was like the 1940s. It's not even 100 years ago that this has kind of been a thing. Diamonds are a woman's best friend and all this, and go to Kay's Jewelry or Borsheim's and all
Got it
that.
from Jared.
Yeah.
If you interviewed 100 women and you're like,
All of them would be repulsed by me.
Would you rather have good dick or a good diamond? And I would almost be assured that 60% of them would say they would want good dick.
They wouldn't want?
They would want good dick.
Well, let's find out.
Boom.
Ladies, except for my sister, don't answer
There's
that.
three of us.
I have a question, and this is a real question. I'm not joking around. I'm dense in this area. But is it traditional for the guy to pick out the ring without her having any say in it, or should she be a part of picking out
I feel
her
like
ring?
if she's going to wear it, she should be a part of it.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, generally the engagement ring, unless you're getting it in the set, the engagement ring's pretty much something that you get on your own.
But with that, I don't think
there's.
there's a should or shouldn't type of thing. It's like, you're the one who's going to wear it, so yeah, you pick it out.
That's what I was thinking, but it's like I also feel like there's a lot of guys out there that, especially in TV shows and movies, it's like, this was my grandma's ring, and it's like, or he goes and he just buys something for her, and I'm like, well, she doesn't like it. That's a lot of money.
But to my detriment, I guess, I made Crystal wear something that wasn't something that she picked out. It's something that I designed. So
Your tattoos?
My ring I bought for her was $50. Might have been $40 because we knew the chick who gave the tattoos to us.
Yeah.
So I designed the tattoo, but yeah.
I mean, we're the same way. We have tattooed rings, and we have actual rings as well.
Hey, I can't take mine off, so
Yeah,
I mean, unless
If
I
you
use
get
a knife.
divorced, you're gonna have to cut the finger off,
That's what I was planning on doing.
or just do a picture of me.
Yeah, I can do a
I was going to
cover.
say, we both have our straight edge rings, and then we both have ring rings. Because I was terrible with wedding rings when I was young. Because, like, in the winter, my hands shrink. In the summer, they get fat and big. And like, so I take rings off, I put them on. I take them off, I put them on. I lose rings so frequently.
You want to? Sorry to side story, but remember when the three of us shot a wedding, and you had bought me?
I gave you.
Not you.
I gave you some wedding rings. Yeah.
You're like, let's try something. Let's have you wear a wedding ring on and see if, because you had said women want what they can't have.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, like, walking around with that ring on, and I don't know that I wore it that day, but it's like maybe like a day or so after I like put it on. You kind of like, I kind of was walking like differently. Like, I think part of me was like, had convinced my brain that I was married, and I'm like, oh, it just felt different. And
You get
weird.
like a strut to you. Yeah. And that happens a lot when I don't wear my ring. That sounds terrible. Like,
So much weight lifted.
you feel like you
Is that
feel
the Bee Gees I hear play.
like you feel like empty. Not like empty, but you feel like exposed.
Free?
Not even free. Like you just feel like
Because
you're doing something wrong.
in Spanish, husband and wife type of thing is esposas. That means handcuffs. So you're kind of chained. You're linked to somebody. So
Good old ball and chain.
yeah.
I have to get new rings every year, and I just started getting the silicone rings because I have to get a new ring every year. 'Cause depending on how hot it is, how cold it is, how fat I am that year.
Jeez.
Like my fingers.
He hulks out of them.
Like my fingers. Like even this one that I've been wearing. Like you can see how fucking terrible it is.
That's why I don't wear rings. When I was in the military, I was a general mechanic, and they showed us videos of like people losing their fingers or whatever because of the electricity with their attached to their. I'm like,
that's why this finger's so fucked up there. I used to wear tungsten rings.
just wear the conch shells and stuff like that.
I got it stuck, like the straight handles on doors. I went to open a handle and like
You got home alone.
It got caught underneath that handle, and when I went down, it just cracked that, just straight popped it and cracked it.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. So this topic is loosely riding the coattails of one of my previous topics when I was talking about gender reveals in episode 20. Go check that one out if you guys haven't in the old catalog. I wanted to talk about proposal fails. Yeah.
Celebrities.
You, for sure. Jeremy. Oh,
Okay.
Lonnie lost his shirt again.
Yeah, he did.
It's getting hot in here.
Hello.
So you gave a pretty cool story about gender reveal fail of your own. I wondered if you had any. Did you ever mess up anybody's wedding? You didn't record something?
I know a wedding you almost messed up, but turns out you messed up your britches.
I'll tell that story for sure if we want to. No, because I will tell you, weddings, don't do them anymore. I don't do them anymore. And they're good money, but it's not worth the stress that you have to go through because a wedding is not like a movie. You can't, if you fuck up a take, you can't redo it. And these people are paying you to.
Yeah, you can. People do it all the time. It's all staged proposals and stuff. It's like, oh my God.
It's just, it's a one-time thing. If you fuck something up, God damn it. And I mean, we have multiple cameras. Like we put cameras up on tripods just in case one of our cameras doesn't get the shot or whatever. I mean, there's special moments like the first kiss, the first reveal, all those things. And I mean, it's nerve wracking. I personally don't have a story where I messed up anything. I mean, there were some shots that, I didn't get, but it wasn't my fault. It was because somebody stood up in my way or one of the photographers got in my way. And
can't you just yell move?
Yeah.
Move.
Do you move, fucker?
But yeah, no, nothing like that. I'm trying to think if there's any stories like there really isn't any like crazy stories of like something bad happening, like a bride tripping or pooping her pants or anything like that. I will say there's some interesting, we put a lavalier mic on the groom so that you can hear the vows clear.
But they don't turn it off when they go take a crap.
Well, that's the thing. It's like you go about 5-10 minutes before the ceremony is going to start and you turn it on.
You can hear him talking to the bridesmaid all.
You make sure that the other videographer who has the headphones on can hear and he gives a thumbs up. And it's like, at first I wasn't reminding him like, just so you know, your mic's on. But yeah, there's plenty of times where they go and all of a sudden you'll hear the urine hitting the toilet or farting or some of the conversations they're having. I think there was one time where the groom, when the priest was giving his sermon, that the groom like looked over and said something along the lines, I think of, I can't wait to get that dress off of you. It's like, man, like this is crazy. But
he was saying that to you?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I'm just like, excuse me, I'm here to do a job.
Eyes up here, mister.
But
hands off.
But yeah,
no means no.
But yeah, if we have time, remind me later to tell that story, Lonnie, because that's something I will never forget.
So I watched a crap load of these little proposal videos, and my wife is like, ugh, rolling her eyes type of thing, because she finds a lot of that stuff really cheesy too. She's not your typical girly girl type of thing. She's into metal music and tattoos and lifting heavy weights and shit like that. So there are those common accidents of like the rings falling into the ocean or the river or off of the Brooklyn Bridge, like Don Walling, never to be retrieved. There's like those women just ruining the proposal. Like a guy is trying to be all heartfelt, getting on the knee, and she's like throwing shit at him. Like, no, are you serious? Are you serious? It's like, yeah. And then when she finds out he's serious, it's like, oh, it's like, you're just throwing shit in his face. Is he going to follow through with that? That's a crime caught on camera. But yeah, many of those are kind of actually staged, and you see like those refusals that were staged. You're like, oh my God, they're just doing this for clout. They're just trying to get, it's a prank. It's a prank video.
Yep. But
but they won't show it as such. I think when it comes to like pranks, the reactions are usually is the one that takes the ticket for most of that. So what are your options when it comes to a marriage proposal? There's the refusal, the acceptance, or the wait type of thing. There was this one where a man got rejected in front of a live national TV audience of 20,000 people. He had this whole elaborate Valentine's Day proposal for nada. And then we can keep Kaylee Dunning, 32, was found dead after a Mark
What the
Branford.
fuck?
Oh, this is a fail. Yeah.
Apparently, this is a big fail.
Yeah. So Mark Branford proposed to her, and well, later that night, after he found her sending provocative texts to another man, he shut that down with a crowbar.
Did she say yes?
I think she did say yes, but I think that's why it hurt the most, mostly for her, for a little while. It was rough.
I was going to say, I don't mean to pry.
Oh my God.
That would have been smooth.
Yeah.
So Jason Eaton, he murdered his girlfriend, Wendy Sabatini, after a proposal rejection. She said no, and he pulled out a nightstand firearm and shot her in the back of the head.
Good night.
Night,
Jeez.
bitch.
A 34-year-old Chris Tucker, not that Chris Tucker, he snapped the neck of his 19-year-old girlfriend, Tara Serino, after a marriage refusal on Halloween. I figured you would be like a type of guy who would propose to someone on Halloween, but it had to depend on the person,
You
too.
know, I've always thought about the getting married on Halloween, but the likelihood of and having it be like costume and staged with makeup and have it be scripted and have weird things. Like, if anybody rejects or whatever, objects, speak now or forever hold your peace, have somebody stage stamp like, I object, and then have my best man go over and slit his throat.
Jeez.
But I don't think many women out there would go for that for their...
There was a few cool videos I did see searching through there. There's a guy in Russia who faked his own death, and like it pissed off his girlfriend because she thought she'd lost him, and like she wouldn't even turn around to see the actual, I don't know if it was an explosion, but there was like this water little fountain that he had it timed and stuff, and there was like a stunt driver. There was a few cool ones. Proposing with the mock suicide type of thing. I'm like, I don't think that's gonna.
I don't understand the end game. Like, what do you think was gonna happen?
It's like you got to know. Like, yeah, I mean, you follow through with the proposal if she's actually showing some care. Like another guy in like it was Malaysia, India, somewhere around there, where he's laying on the floor next to a motorcycle, bringing it back here,
full circle, ladies and gentlemen.
And the police officers who were in on it rolled him over, and he just pulled out a ring, and it was so cheesy. But she said yes. And there was another one that I thought was really cool. There was like this black dude who was at like a gas station, and the cops come in and they're like, get on the ground, whatever. And, do you got any weapons on him? And the girlfriend, she knew that he had his gun on him, but he staged this with the cops, and so he's like, you got anything in your pocket? Or I forget, I couldn't hear everything, but he pretty much was on the floor and then went to a knee and pulled out a ring, and then people started clapping. So I guess some people knew about it, and
then they arrested him.
No. That was all cool for him.
And then they realized he was black.
Oh no!
But yeah, so there was a California dude, Michael Banks. He had to be rescued because of his jackassery. So Morro Rock, a highly dangerous climb, that's illegal nonetheless. The resident fire chief says it's illegal because Morro Rock kills people. He admitted to 4 calls where he had found people dead. And Banks' dumbass climbed up there to FaceTime his girlfriend and proposed to her. It's like, if you're climbing up this little mountain, how do you know you're going to have service up there in the first place? But yeah, she did say yes, and he did have to pay the rescue costs, which is, I want to say, over like $12,000 over there. And I'm like, well, I hope you're going to have to kind of extend a ring unless you already have it.
It's going to be a courthouse marriage.
Yeah. Well, while we're here... But yeah, so Reed Harris, he put a ring in a milkshake in his girlfriend, Caitlin Whipple. She scarfed it down, but she got it back 2 days later. Guess how? And another woman in China also swallowed a ring hidden in a cake. Left Coast Haji put a ring in a helium balloon to pop the question. Boom, gone. He never got it. He left the place, and like the ring or the balloon kind of went off. And I guess he took like a 2-hour trip just following the balloon, and before it like disappeared in the sky. The creative, yes, but fail. So loosely related, but a guy went for a climb at Math's Crest in Yosemite National Park with no equipment. He went solo, and it was just hours after his chica said yes to his proposal. And 36-year-old Brad Parker's, bam, dead. He fell off a Yosemite. Also in Oregon, Mr. Napper, he was going to propose to his girlfriend, Miss Alfork, or Al4K, she's from the Philippines, on the infamous Proposal Rock, but a large tide hit and ended up dragging her under to sea, never to be found. So that was kind of a crappy one. One that you guys probably do know about, Louisiana couple in Tanzania was vacationing in the Manta Resort on Pemba Island. The husband got this brilliant idea to write up a long-ass letter to show her and then pull out a ring, all the while submerged underwater from the window outside of their underwater suite. That looked really cool, but he wrote both sides onto this little paper in a little Ziploc bag, put it on the window, and she's reading it, then flipped it over, and it says something like, I can't hold my breath long enough to tell you everything I love about you, but everything I love about you, I love more every day. Will you please be my wife? Marry me?
Yes, I will, Justin.
But when he tried to rise to the water, he never submerged. He never came up. Like a few days later, she posted, I want to say it was a few days. I don't know the exact timeline.
She was in a relationship with somebody else.
Well, she's like, yes, a million times yes. Or something like, you never heard my answer. It's like, well, it's kind of too late to give your answer now. Like you're not marrying him.
On his tombstone and say, read faster, bitch.
Yeah.
So if anything else, please let this be a warning to all of our listeners. I know some of you might think you're smarter than you think or very creative. You have something really cool to try to propose. But I know I speak for all of us here at the Boundless PodTrap. Please, please, please refrain from getting engaged. Thank you.
He always has to end things like that. You notice I was pointing to my head.
Yeah.
Justin.
Which head?
Justin.
He was touching his pecker.
You don't get to say no to this punishment because you said no to the other one.
I'm going to divorce my wife?
No.
And then propose to her? Oh.
His wife's so cool.
Please trust me with this, Lonnie.
You have 100% of my trust.
Your punishment, Justin, is we are going to hook a lavalier mic up to you, lapel mic, and we're going to hide someplace, and we're going to go to a public place, and you are going to propose marriage to 6 women, or your punishment ends if one of them says yes, but you have to go up to complete strangers and propose to them, and we're going to hear the whole thing, and we're going to record the whole thing.
Could we go to like a library so I can whisper propose?
We're going to go to, it's going to be
6 different locations of our choosing.
6 different locations, and you have to do at least 3 at each of them.
I have to do 3 proposals?
Yeah. So that's going to be
complete strangers.
No, 2. So 2, we'll go 6 locations, 2 at each location. So you'll be doing 12
This is how people get killed. Didn't you just read? So what if I refuse their yeses? Thank you.
I like how you think that you're going to get yeses. I'm telling you right now, if you get a yes, I'm going to go.
I got 6 yeses.
You're good with that punishment?
We could do that.
Boom, it's settled. That's the punishment. This is going to take some Impractical Jokers set up because we're going to have to get a lapel mic on you, and we're going to have to hide, and then we're going to have to get permission to show the girls' faces. Otherwise, we're going to be blurring them out. So, but this will be fun.
So make sure I know the 6 locations.
Yep.
2 girls at each location. Can it be girl or guy? We don't want to segregate any gentlemen. How about one girl and one guy?
No. Here's my issue with that. I have nothing against gay marriage at all.
We don't want to make fun of the men.
Yeah, and that's what I think it's going to get at. And the guy is more than likely probably, I mean, how do you know? And if he's not, he might get upset and some physical altercation could happen.
Okay, fair enough. Okay.
I think that, I just go with women for now. We can play it by ear if we know or something that maybe we can, but for his safety and for it to not be like we're making fun.
Not every guy knows Cobra Kai. Like, not everybody is
as cool as me.
Conditioned. Oh my God.
Hey, you're going to know the answer to this. What's Bruce Lee's favorite?
Sorry. I didn't let the listeners finish the joke.
All right. So we got Justin's punishment. He is going to propose to 12. You pick the locations.
I'll pick the locations.
He's going to be like a female bathroom.
We pick the women. So at these 6 locations, Justin has to go up to 2 women, unbeknownst of what's going on. And I think, strike up a little conversation with them first. And shortly into that conversation, I'd say no more than 2 minutes or a minute to 2 minutes. you're on one knee asking them to marry you, and we're going to get their reactions and response.
It's going to be rough.
It's going to be great.
We're going to the ghetto.
I think we might have found something that might make him a little
I mean, his eyebrows popped up pretty hard, but all right.
And we'll run it by Crystal too to make sure that she understands what's fully going on here, and she will probably.
I'm going to give you
100% be behind it, and she'll probably be there too.
I'm going to give you her reaction. So after you tell her like this is what we're going to do, she's going to be like, "Oh God."
I can hear that too.
We're not.
I can so hear that.
We'll come forward and say, when we were trying to come up with punishments, we actually went to Crystal and we're like, what can we do? What scares him? What embarrasses him?
I think he kind of figured that out.
And she was like, I don't know. She's like, really nothing.
Her response.
Oh, wait, did you ask her?
I did.
We did. Yeah.
And she said, because she said she was talking to you and she said you were kind of like, did Jeremy put you up to this or something like that? Because she was asking you like, are you afraid of anything or something? She told me her thing for you, because I said he doesn't embarrass and all this and that. And she's like, how did she word it? I don't know if it's something that necessarily scares him, but things popping up in front of his face. And I'm just like, what? Like a penis? And she's just like, well, that maybe. But she's like jumping out and scaring him. He hates getting scared. And I'm like, oh.
Wait, she said that?
Yeah.
I don't know why she would say that. That's weird.
Well, and then me and then me and Jeremy just happened to be looking at porn. Like we do, like grown men do together.
It's Michael's place, so of course we were.
And then the bright idea came up with the chatterbait thing, and we're like,
yeah, explain that one. What we were
so
gonna
what
have
we
him
were
do.
gonna do, and we're all adults here, but maybe with the exception of Sydney.
So if your kids are listening in your car while you're listening to this podcast,
plug their ears.
Tell them earmuffs.
Good. What the fuck was that?
Is that your porn?
So what Chatterbait is, it is a website where you can go to and watch women diddle themselves, watch men diddle themselves, watch couples diddle each other. And basically what we were going to do is Justin was going to emulate his character from Unemployed. He was going to go on there and try to get currency from Chatterbait. And we were so gung ho with this idea.
Well, and this is the thing is like he couldn't do anything sexual.
He could if he wanted to.
We were going to give him props that weren't like
anything
sex
bedroom
toys
style,
or anything like that. And the other thing was he had to get, what did we say, 50 tokens?
25 or 50 tokens, whatever.
I was thinking, or 12 hours on there. If he couldn't get any tokens, he would have to spend 12 hours on Chatterbait trying to get these tokens, but doing whatever he could to get them. And we were going to like every hour or half hour going to have some kind of surprise happen that Justin didn't know, like have a certain somebody walk in the room behind him, and then Justin would have to try to play it off or have it make sense to the viewers. But
I had an idea I wanted to do while I was considering that before I kind of thought about like the replicate.
Stupid job.
Yeah.
What I wanted to do is get like 2 dildos chain linked and do like a little nunchuck routine.
Only you.
And do it seriously, straight face, like, you know.
You would have probably got like 500 tokens. I'm like, damn it, that backfired.
You know, the funny thing is me and Jeremy were actually going through the dudes on like the dude section. And we're like, well, what do dudes do? Like we get it. They sit.
And the answer is they sit naked. And type on their.
And
they're all hunched over.
Yeah.
And they're not what you're expecting them to look like.
Yeah. And they're all like, I don't know, like if you've ever seen a guy jerk off, but it's not really appealing. It's like, granted, it's not appealing if you're a straight male, but like even women or gay males, like, ugh.
When you guys are watching that, were you guys considering like how you guys actually beat it? Or like, do I look like that?
I like stand on my tippy toes.
I just
reach to the sky.
I just watch my tapes at home, the playbacks.
I hang on the pull-up bar while
I try to catch it.
I mean, it's just weird because like these guys are like, I don't want to even say dad bods because that's giving them credit. They don't.
We did see Jeremy's.
Really let himself
Wait,
go.
Let him finish that. We did see Jeremy's.
We did see Justin's uncle.
What was his name?
It was like
Vinny.
Vinny.
I said
that guy. He looked like my chemistry teacher. but he would have been
And
older
we're
by
like,
now.
he was getting good tips. So we're like, hey, this is easy.
And he
like,
wasn't doing any because I always said
he was
he
just
looked like Vin Diesel.
He would like rub the tip of a flaccid penis. We're like, this is disgusting.
That's it.
And then we flipped over to this fat guy who just happened to be spreading his butt cheeks. We're like, ugh.
5 hours later, we
5 hours later, we were like, one, we need to switch over to women, and two, we need to wait till Justin gets here.
I was so excited. And then Justin's like, I don't know with my job. I'm like, God damn it.
Realistically, when he said no, it clicked in my mind that, yeah, this is pretty fucked up.
It's like it's not that I'm doing anything like sexual or something, but just having my name with my job attached to that site itself. It's like promoting this would be kind of problematic. So
Yeah, because this is going to be up for people to see. We want to be able to see and hear. So, all right, well, we got Justin's punishment. Now we got to figure out a time, probably when the weather gets a little bit nicer here, and we will go places. We'll get permission from these places and
see if we can get a polygamist here.
All right,
I'm going to be a Mormon. Lonnie, excuse me, I'm drinking and
all
burping.
up to me.
What do you have on the docket?
And this is something we're 22 episodes in, and I'm surprised none of us have ever actually covered this.
What is it?
Covered
A little intro before we get started. I'm a person just like you, but I've got better things to do than sit around and fuck my head and hang out with the living dead and snort white shit up my nose and passing out at all the shows. I don't even think about speed. That's something that I just don't need because I've got the straight edge. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight on episode 22 of the Boundless PodTrap, we're going to break in to straight edge. Wow. And why we are all straight edge.
That's right.
So a little bit on straight edge before we get into it. Straight edge is a movement that started in the 80s, the very, very early 80s on the East Coast, and the punk rock and hardcore scene. It evolved over years to what it is nowadays. Basically what straight edge is and what it originated from was it's a movement that you don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't do drugs. You basically keep as pure of a lifestyle as possible. And it's something that the three of us, a lifestyle we choose to live. We all have our own reasons why. We all have our own reasons how we got there. And I figured
we will share tonight.
Yeah, and I figured it was a good thing that, we talk about it, why we choose. Everyone has their own opinions, the reasons why they do what they do. And I thought it was a good opportunity to show people why the way we live we do. If you don't like the things I have to talk about
then
in
fuck
straight edge.
You.
Yeah, basically. Like, this is the way we choose to live. If you don't like it, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
But a little bit on straight edge before we go on. Like I said, started in the early 80s in the East Coast, moved out to the West Coast. Straight edge has really been, it matured into different things and different eras. So the stages that straight edge has taken, like I said, the early edge was an East Coast thing in the early 80s, which kind of morphed into what they called the youth crew, was kids who latched on to straight edge in that early 80s from the music scene. They really got into it. They really took the aggression from the music and they took their heart and what it meant to them. And they started bands and they started pushing it out on people, which when the 80s ended, got into the 90s, it kind of spread in multiple directions since straight edge was more popular and it was starting to get more traction. It kind of got more aggressive. So it split into two multiple directions in the mid 90s and on. So it kind of went in the peaceful area, which is basically what you would consider like the Hare Krishna direction, which is calm, passive. And then it went in another direction, which is what they refer to as hardline, which was we don't drink, smoke, do drugs, and you will listen to us our way or we'll beat the shit out of you. So it's completely opposite straight edge morphed. And there were still the straight edge people in the middle, but those were more of your OGs. That happened through the 90s. In the early 2000s, it kind of had another resurgence where everything kind of started solidifying in the middle. The hardliners started becoming more metal, and it's where your metal core, like your screamy bands that were a little bit more melodic, kind of your hardline kind of morphed into that.
The new metal.
Yeah. And your Hare Krishnas, who started even becoming more religious in aspect, kind of submorphed into a genre which was commonly referred to as positcore. Like they wanted to get away from the religious aspect and get more into the music aspect, because originally that's what straight edge was based on, was the music aspect. So they started a genre called positcore, which was basically...
I don't know if I've ever heard of that term.
I was going to say, I have not.
Yeah, positcore was, still all the aspects of straight edge, but they also...
Is there any popular bands that fall into that line?
So it would be your bands like Good Clean Fun, International Superheroes of Hardcore, Rise Against.
Okay. Yeah. Whoa. Wait, isn't Rise Against one of the ones whose lead singer tried to kill his wife? Or am I thinking of something else?
You're thinking of something else. Okay. And positcore is kind of the more like... we need to fight for everybody, whether it's man, woman, child, animals. Everything needs an equal chance to live. Everyone needs to respect everybody.
That's right. As I Lay Dying, the Christian singer of As I Lay Dying tried to kill his wife. Sorry.
And that's pretty much the steps of where we are now, when what common straight edge is now. It's went from like the hardline kids were don't drink, don't smoke, don't fuck, don't do drugs. Don't promote drugs, don't promote smoking, don't promote drinking. If someone is trying to get you to drink or smoke, your goal is to put them in the ground. They were almost like they were at one time considered a gang from a lot of police gangs units. There was a notorious group called FSU, depending on if you were in the know or you weren't in the know. They went by two different names. If you were in the know, the group was called Friends Stand United. If you weren't in the know, they were called Fuck Shit Up. They started in Utah, then they made their way to Colorado, and then they just spread little pockets everywhere. And they were seen as a gang unit in a lot of cities' crime era. So they were just as bad as the Bloods, the Crips.
Jeez.
And like they would get singled out just as bad. Obviously not as bad, because...
I feel like I don't agree to all the protocol when it comes to like those hardcore type of people. Like if you're going to put violence over fucking, it's like, shouldn't you put, the love making
your hands together.
Right. And that's why
sex in your violence.
Well, that's where like all the different genres of hardcore came from, because like the hardliners don't give a fuck about animal cruelty, but yet the positcore kids, they like, but eating meat is wrong. But the positcore kids will fuck all day long.
Hell yes.
Right. And some of the bands, and this is just bands that are important to me that were straight edge bands, like Minor Threat, Youth of Today, 7 Seconds, Good Clean Fun, Bane, Rise Against, Vegan Reich, The Refused, The Geeks, AFI, Extremist.
Isn't it the Ramones, aren't they?
No.
They aren't? They were a band of my
thinking. They were drinking.
There's a band that was really popular, like the Ramones, that I thought was straight edge.
Like punk straight edge?
Yeah.
I think the only straight edge band back in the day, like that time, probably would have been Minor Threat was in that era, like that early 80s, Gorilla Biscuit.
I'll figure it out eventually.
But and that's kind of the reason I got into this, because for you, Jeremy, you're straight edge. But you're straight edge not because of the music. You're straight edge for a completely different reason. I got into straight edge on the music aspect, and then straight edge grew into my life, where you're straight edge not because of the music. You're straight edge for a completely different reason. Mm-hmm. And I'm assuming the same way with you.
I've never accepted the banner of straight edge, but I fall under the category.
You fall under the banner, yeah. So why don't you guys, and then I'll say as well, straight edge people you looked up to, reasons why you decided to become edge, times you broke edge, if ever.
So for me, I don't know that I really, and this is going to be weird to say, like I knew straight edge, I heard straight edge before, but I don't know that I really knew what it was. And I didn't really understand that I was living that lifestyle. And this kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. The person that really introduced me to straight edge, to where I kind of like was looking into it, was a professional wrestler named CM Punk. That was kind of his whole gimmick. Was, he had this straight edge tattoo and on his knuckles, on his stomach. And then
funny thing is, I was all for like his enemy. So
well,
Jeff Hardy.
Yeah, well, yeah, Jeff Hardy was my favorite, but But it was like, it was kind of cool. And then, he turned heel, which for those of you that know, heel in the professional wrestling world means bad guy. And he started a thing called the Straight Edge Society. And their whole gimmick was straight edge means I'm better than you. And they would push that fact that we're better because we don't have to use drugs, alcohol. I didn't get into that part of it at all, but it was just.
That'd be more of like the hardline mentality opposed to the straight edge mentality. Yeah.
So I was just like, when I started reading, I'm like, wow, I don't do any of that stuff. Part of the reason why is there's two reasons basically why I do not drink, smoke, do drugs. And I won't say I've never tried alcohol. I didn't have my first alcoholic beverage until my 21st birthday. And it was basically by the time I was 22 or in 22, I had stopped drinking altogether. And I had never gotten drunk or anything like that. It just didn't appeal to me. I've never smoked a cigarette. I've never done any drugs, and I never will. But to me, it's just the fact that I don't need these things to have fun and enjoy life. I don't need to alter my ego. Like, I have a lot of stress in my life, and a lot of people say I smoke marijuana because it relieves my stress. And I mean, that's okay. People to each their own. I honestly mean that. I just say, don't try to push your stuff onto me. But I would like to remember things, enjoy things sober. And another reason why I don't do it is because, God, this would have been in the next month will be 2004 to now. That would be 17 years ago. 17 years ago in May, I lost my father, and he basically died because his liver was destroyed because he drank his whole life. And I don't want to say that I had like oh my God, like my childhood was terrible. It was not. Was my relationship with my dad the best? No. And a lot of that had to do with because he liked to drink, and he drank a lot. And he was never a stumbling, belligerent drunk or anything like that. He was never abusive and physical. He just got temperamental. Like you could tell when he was drinking because like the littlest things would anger him, and he would maybe argue with you, but again, not lay a hand on you or my mom or sisters. But I just seen kind of how that kind of affected my childhood. I mean, I could have probably had a different kind of childhood if I had a better relationship with my dad. Again, I'm not saying it was terrible by any means, but I also seen how it affected like a marriage and stuff like that. And the older I got and realized things, it's like, if I ever do get married and I ever have a family, I don't want that to happen. I don't want my kids to have memories like I have of certain things. I don't want my kids to have to, because my dad was 50 when he died. I don't want my kids to have to lose their dad at such an early age for something like that, because that is a memory that I will have for the rest of my life, is my dad getting sick and all the stuff he had to go through and me taking care of him. So I vowed I'm not going to get into that stuff. And he had died when I was 20. So that was before I started drinking them. Like I said, my 21st birthday, I had my first alcoholic beverage, and that's always in the back of my mind. And so I just, like I said, made a vow. I'm not drinking, or I had already said I'm not doing drugs or smoking. So, and then you learn about straight edge, and it's like, well, wow, I guess I do fall into that straight edge category. So that's my story.
My turn.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a few different factors of why I guess fall under the umbrella of straight edge. Like I said, I never really waved the banner of straight edge, like, oh, this is me. It's because when I was introduced to what straight edge actually was, it was kind of towards like those kids who were kind of pushing it a little bit more. And it was annoying. It's kind of like playing a game for like Halo for the very first time, but the person is just whooping your ass and it's not giving you a chance. So it kind of turns you off to the game. It's like, whatever.
Yeah, straight edge kids, like how people give vegetarian shit a lot about it. No, I don't eat that. I'm vegetarian, blah, blah, blah. That's the majority of straight edge kids. Like, they're insufferable.
Yeah. It's like, how do you know if somebody's straight edge? Oh, don't worry. They'll tell you.
Ask him, yeah.
But yeah, I never really waved the banner of that. And an earlier point in my life, I was kind of raised on like Chinese flicks, Hong Kong flicks and stuff like that, the martial arts. I had an upbringing in the martial arts. So to me, it was kind of a discipline of the mind, discipline of the body. I never necessarily liked to, if you want to say, corrupt the body with substance that's not necessary. I mean, yes, I have tried alcohol. I have tried, marijuana, but I've never been high. I mean, okay, that's a lie. I have been high on one time, which was an accident because I was painting a basement with epoxy paint. But when it comes to like alcohol. I've never been drunk. I've never been high on marijuana, etc. Those are as much as I've ever used. Also, when I was younger, there was a kid that I knew who, I'll just tell like a brief of it, but I actually wrote a long ass poem about it. You can probably find it on like my poetry Tumblr account or something, but
it's called Sad Eyes, not Justin.
So OnlyFans.
When he was younger, when we were younger, he was actually killed by a drunk driver, and that's one of the reasons why I have staved off, alcohol and all that. Plus, I've seen what it has done to my friends, and even lost a lot of like romantic relationships because of it. It's like people use alcohol as an excuse to get out of their own responsibilities, or just pretty much using it as an excuse. I'm like, if you choose to drink, you choose to cheat. That's one thing. But for me, mostly it's the martial aspect of it, or the kind of also, if you want to say the spiritual or the Buddhist practices of keeping your temple clean. Yeah, that's pretty much me.
One thing I will say before we get into yours, Lonnie, I'm proud to say I'm straight edge. I think
single tear rolls down my head.
There does come some bad things with it. One of my biggest pet peeves is when people find out you're straight edge and they're just like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. It's like, I don't need to hear that. I don't care that you're proud of me. It's just,
I usually get the latter. Like most people who, because you say that, I've never had an issue with drugs and alcohol, and they're like, oh, good for you type of thing. It's like, but this person has struggled and they deserve a reward.
Yeah, that pisses me off. And I'm not shitting on the people who have genuine issues, but what pisses me off is I'm 1 week sober. I'm like, sweet, I'm 36 years sober.
But I do give those people encouragement. Like if I see people post stuff like that on Facebook, I give it a like, because I don't know their backstory, and maybe they did have some really, really, really hard times to where, maybe they were on the verge of death and whatnot. So it's just like any little bit of encouragement. If they're proud that they went like a week or so without some kind of drug or substance, then
some of these people actually need that attention to feed onto their sobriety though. Right. So it's like, you need that, but the extra unnecessary attention that kind of comes with it, the flack, the social thing, it's like,
yeah, I get that. Yeah. But I just...
Yeah, there's a big difference between sympathy and empathy, though.
True. I'll give you that. Yeah.
Yeah, for me...
Fuck you.
For me, it was like, I take a little bit from your guys' scenarios, and I'll live that. I started in the music scene very young.
How young were you?
I was like 11. So I was going to shows at a very, very young age. So I got exposed to straight edge very young. And I'm glad I did.
John didn't hear that.
So I got exposed to straight edge very young. So the people who my brother was friends with, I was introduced to. And so I was introduced to straight edge at a very young age. So I instantly was gravitated towards it and gravitated towards those people. And not saying that they looked like they were having more fun, but they generally looked safer. So I wanted to be safe, because 11-year-old, 12-year-old kid at a show full of 100 drunk dudes, that's scary. Yeah. But when there's 5 or 6 kids there, or 5 or 6 dudes who are shaved heads and have leather jackets on and look tough, I'm safe around you.
You said look tough.
Cool. Don't worry, I'm still your little baby bird.
Don't ever say that again. Oh my God.
So I'd gravitate towards them and I would feel safe. And some other things, like when I started getting a little older, I'm like, okay, straight edge is a thing. So I started working at a no drugs, no drinking club. I would be at the door and I would take money, and I would see these little kids come in, and I'd be like, sweet, these little kids are coming in to see shows and they're getting the right opinion. And I took pride in that. And then I think I was 15. I had my first introduction to drugs and alcohol, where I was just like, you know what, fuck it. All my friends are here. I feel like I'm in a safe environment. Problem with never drinking, though, you don't know what an alcohol tolerance is, and you don't know what actually being drunk feels like. So I drank and I drank and I drank and I drank, and then I woke up in the back of a truck. And
like in a trunk, tied up?
No, in a truck, like in a truck bed.
Gotcha.
And I threw up for days. And after that, I was like, nope, fucking done with it. So I started reaching out, trying to find straight edge idols, finding people who could.
Wait, is that what they're called? Straight edge idols?
Well, those are kind of the people who are like douchebag straight edge. They're like, I'm straight edge and I'll tell you why. Like the heels of
Hulk Hogan?
Don't want to hear.
Straight edge, brother. And like, so that's how I got in hardline. Like I was a hardliner for a long time. Like as long as I was vegan, I was hardline. And like we would troll around the old market and try to beat people's asses. Like that's why I had so many broken noses and got my ass kicked.
That was you?
I got my ass kicked.
He's
so
like,
many times.
you want me to eat your ass? You want me to eat your ass?
Come here.
Are you saying eat or beat?
I'll suck that dick so good, fool. No, but I would we would go get the shit beat out of us just because, like, yeah, we got morals, but it doesn't mean we know how to fight. But we would go get the shit kicked out of us because we thought we had morals. And in retrospect, man, we could have got killed so many times.
It gives you status.
Like we could have went under the wrong bridge at the wrong time. The wrong heroin addict could have been under there, and he could have fucking killed us.
One thing you said that I kind of want to touch on is I have been in many places where, you know, it could be a party or camping or something like that. And most everybody there is drinking, sometimes more than they probably should. And then once they get to that level, they drink a little bit more than they probably should. There's been many instances where people, since they know I'm not drinking, and they may not necessarily know I'm straight edge, but they know I'm not drinking, they migrate towards me.
Yeah, that's the worst thing.
They feel a little bit safer around you.
Well, not them, but the people who are drinking, though.
You know, I'm too much of a Jew, so when you start pointing like this, I get scared.
For me. That's the worst thing when the people who do drink, they know that you don't. They know that you don't drink, and they're like, "Oh shit, why make the best mixed drinks?" And it's like, "Don't make it for me. Don't make it for me. I'm not going to drink it." And so they'll follow you around, and then it's like you'll put it on a table. It's like, "Oh, did you drop your cup? Hey, you didn't try it, did you?" It's like, "No, I'm not. I told you not to make it."
I guess I'm lucky in the fact that I haven't been around those kind of drunk people. Usually, they respect my decision to not drink, and they don't try to force it on me, and don't try to make me feel like I'm lesser than them or I don't know how to have fun, but. I just know that there's people that they may be casually drinking. You've never responsibly drinking, and they feel, and they don't really know me, and they migrate towards me because they know that I'm not going to be a belligerent drunk. And
so you're saying you've never choked out a belligerent drunk and left them in the shower in a house party?
I've had to deal with a lot of belligerent drunks when I worked at CenturyLink Center doing security for concerts.
That's a good and bad thing. It's like babysitting grown-ass men and women. It's rough.
And Omaha is 100%.
It's the drunk-ass baby capital of the world.
95% of the acts that come to Omaha are country, and it's all the cowboys with their hot girlfriends. And I mean, they're drunk before they even get to the show. Yeah. And then that's when the party starts, and it's like, no matter how calm and cool you are with them, they're ready for a fight.
Well, and we've had this discussion before that Omaha is a very, very violent town for
it is.
And I don't know if you guys have experienced this or if it was just like a small town country thing. But if you don't drink and people find out about it,
they want to
you're the laughing stock. Like, you're no fun. You're a loser. There's something wrong with you. Like, fuck that guy kind of a thing.
That whole trope, like, you don't know how to have fun.
Yeah,
I hate that.
You don't know how to have, you just don't know how to have fun. You've never had fun with me before. No, I like to remember my nights.
The funny thing is most people, though, that come to a party later, wherever that I'm at, and everybody else is drinking, I'm not, they think I'm the drunk one. And I haven't had an ounce of liquor.
Well, that's because you're just witty all the time.
Yeah. It's like, for me, it's like being able to remember something. If you have that lot, if you're the DD, you can get a lot of money out of that sometimes.
Wow, you really, take advantage.
You know how many butts he's touched?
You know how many times I didn't want to go out, but I had to because, I had to protect my brothers.
Oh, man.
When I was in Germany, like I was pretty much the DD every single night and have to wake up 4 hours later to go to a formation to smell these slobbering drunks and stuff sweated out right in front of me. It's like, oh, my God. And the slowest person is in front, so you have to like take a whiff of that. So that in itself is kind of the payment, whatever.
That's a trigger point for you, Jesus Christ!
Every fucking day, man. And then I was always bunked up to the drunk of the barracks, and it's like it was rough. But I mean, there's some fun drunks out there, like walking them home, hearing some stories. Like you're the one who remembers it. Plus, you're the one who has money in your pocket because you didn't waste it. Plus, you're not going to be the one who has a hangover who can do the stuff the next day.
The closest I've ever come to being drunk we have a guest in the studio right now that people don't know. He's actually going to be our guest on our next podcast.
He's drunk right
but
now.
I believe it was his 21st birthday, and we went to the casino. And I said, I think that was the most alcoholic beverages I've had. I was not drunk. I might have been on the verge of being tipsy. I just remember we got like a suite at a hotel, but it was the handicap suite. So there was like bars everywhere and ramps and stuff leading up. And I just remember when we walked into that room, we all just died laughing. We were on our knees laughing so hard because of the room setup. And I mean, I think if I were drunk, I would be one of the ones that laughs at everything. Cause I just remember John doing something where he popped up from the other side of the bed like he was like a camel chewing on grass or something like that. And I thought it was the funniest thing in the world. So I'm lucky to have friends that aren't belligerent and
douches.
Yes.
I did have some fun. There was one of the, and this is kind of going back to the ones who kind of clean themselves up. Two of the drunks of the barracks back when I was in Germany, they haven't touched alcohol in a long while. And so they've really turned their stuff around. And like, I'm very proud of them because they were the ones who, Boone's Farm, a whole thing every single night. I'm like, geez. Like I'd walk into my friend Black's room and he would just have liquor.
Racist, man.
He was an Irish man.
My black friend.
He's my black friend. He's
he's Irish. He's not only black, he's a Mick.
He's a black Mick. And then my friend Little, he wasn't Little. The thing is, Black wasn't Black and Little wasn't Little, but that was their last names. So I have a video on YouTube somewhere where Little was drunk as fuck and he was one of my roommates. This dude, he annoyed the shit out of me. Like there was like that one Stone Sour, that depressing Stone Sour song. He played it on repeat. Oh my God.
Was it Lips of an Angel?
Not that. It was like the first
Hinder.
album.
That's not.
He had like the biggest man crush on him. But yeah, there was this time where he's like,
Bother.
They came into my room, our room, since we shared room, it was divided by wall lockers, and Little was drunk, and there was a part where I think I might have blurted it out or not shared it or something like that, but there was a video of him with he's coming out of the bathroom, but he can't seem to pull up his pants, and he's falling around like the military barracks there. So his pants are around his knees. You can see his ass and his junk.
And this is like, on your,
my penis is, whatever.
This is on your OnlyFans.
So I'm running down the hall and I jump up. I probably fly like a good 7 feet and I drop kick him, and he kind of falls. And then we do it again, And
you need to link that video.
No wonder we're his only friends anymore.
No kidding.
I drop kick my drunk friends. So
all right, well, we're gonna get Lonnie drunk. And
I have enough problems being sober. So I used to hang out with this group, and they drank quite a bit when I was young, 13, 14, 15 years old. They were a band we played with extensively. They were called Buster Hyman and the Penetrators.
Ew, you nasty.
But their singer, he's a former Marine, and he would be out of the country. He'd come back to the country. The band would get together and they would tour and they'd play. But literally his first name was Buster. And so they just went with Buster Hyman in the Penetrators.
That makes the most sense.
Right.
It's logical.
And their guitar player was named Nick, so obviously he went with the size of his penis in his name. So he was 12-inch Nick. But Buster, like, for some reason, that dude took me under his wing. And he was like...
He was a bird?
He was older. I think at the time, he was late 30s, early 40s. So he's like the old OG punk who's like, I've seen some shit. I'm like, oh, probably. And I'm just like this little kid, like, with a notebook listening to stuff. He's like, so you're going to be Edge, huh? And I'm like, I'd like to be. He's like, good. Because if you're not, you're going to end up like Nick over there. And Nick's just dumb looking around. He's like, he drank his brains away.
That sounds kind of scary.
Yeah, no.
You're going to be Edge, huh?
Dude's big and cut because he's in and out of the military so much. But I learned so much from those guys just watching them drink and be dumb more than I did actually learning from them. Like, all my straight edge experience came from people watching people make bad decisions, opposed to someone getting in my face going, you need to do this because this, and this. I learned all my experience from watching drunk people 6 days a week make wrong decisions.
It's again, like with filmmaking, being on many different sets, a lot of things I learned were what not to do.
Absolutely.
And, You know, I like being sober too, because when you're hanging out with your drunk friends and they're pretty drunk, you can get them to do crazy things like cartwheel naked on a campground.
Nice. I feel like I've seen that. Did I see that?
Oh,
I feel like
that's a memory.
Well, I've seen you naked many times.
I will never forget. One other thing I will say about straight edge, and we could probably wrap it up here soon. And this is
straight edge doesn't wrap it up.
Oh, they don't use it at all. Oh. And you would probably know more so, Lonnie, since it's kind of along the music lines. But you know, X's are kind of a symbol of straight edge, and that a lot of people wonder where. And what I was under the impression was that at concerts, where alcohol was served, the minors would get they would have Sharpie black markers. They'd have X's on the top of their hands, so that the bartender knew not to serve them.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's where that came from.
Yep, that's where the X originally came from. Minors.
I don't think I knew that. That was what was annoying for me with the kids at the high school and stuff. Yeah,
anyone minor under the age of 21 would get X, and that's a good point brought up as well. As I didn't claim X until I turned the age of 21. It didn't seem fair for me saying I was straight edge when I wasn't old enough to make the decision to be straight edge or not. So I actually didn't claim being straight edge. I just said I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs until I was officially 21 years old. And then I started saying I'm straight edge. And like how you said, being the designated driver, I was a designated driver for my 21st birthday. I was the designated driver for my bachelor party. Yeah, you kind of get that stigma of, hey, he's always going to be there, so he can be the safety safe.
Get that call at 2 a.m. or text at 2 a.m.
Times.
Can you come get me?
You know how many times I've had to drive my friend Jared home from the fucking jailhouse in Glenwood?
I was going to say Subway.
I've got that call at 3 a.m. Hey, I need a ride home. Okay, where are you at? I have no fucking idea.
Oh, that helps.
Yeah, well, what can you see? I see a street.
Marco.
I see a street sign. Well, you fucking idiot. What's the street sign say?
Yeah.
Mabel. Okay, what's the other one say? Huh? There's 2 of them, right?
It probably says Maple too.
Oh.
Syrup.
Okay, I got some on the corner here. All right, I'll be there. And you get there, he's not there.
He moved.
I fucking hate you.
I think it's funny because there was one time I was at the bar, and this would have been 12, 13 years or so ago. But this girl that I'd gone to school with, she was drunk and she was flirting with me. And I mean, I kind of wasn't into it because she smelled like alcohol, but I wanted to make sure she got home safely. Well, this other kid that we went to school with that I did not get along with at all in school was hanging out with her too. So I had to drive him home. Well, I wanted to drop him off first, but she didn't. She's like, well, I live here, so just drop me off. And I'm like, I'm trying to like say to her, like, I don't want to be alone with this fucker because him and I did not get along in high school, but I dropped her off and then he came up in the front seat. And I mean, most awkward thing ever. And he was so drunk. I had just said to him, like, if you would have told me back in 6th grade when I met you and we didn't like each other, I'd be driving you home at fucking like 3 a.m, drunk out of your mind. I would have thought you're lying, but
you didn't leave him somewhere. Deserted.
No, I took him to where he wanted to go. But
lucky.
And that
was he trying to give you a little chugga?
I'm not going to answer that. This has been a fun podcast.
Before we go though,
I got 2.
Before his 2, rank them: drinking, smoking, or drugs in order of annoyance.
Smoking, drinking, or drugs?
That's tough.
I'm okay with soft drugs. Like I'm actually all for marijuana.
Absolutely.
I just don't care
Tax
to partake.
the shit out of it.
I just don't like the smell of it.
Fuck, man. Smoking is annoying, but I can't necessarily stand the belligerent drunks. So in every case, smoking is annoying. In some cases, drinking is bad. So I guess I would have to say, you said from good to bad or worst to?
Worst to least worst.
Worst to least worst. Smoking as a worst, drinking as a lesser worst, but more severe. And then soft drugs are least worst.
Okay.
I mean, it's tough because smoking, smokers don't realize how fucking disgusting they smell. Their car smells, their house smells, they smell. Nothing worse than kissing a girl that's a smoker after she just smoked. But I think I'd probably have to go the same route as you: smoking, drinking, drugs.
I think we're all on the same page.
Smoking, drinking, drugs. There was one we both kind of had
Sex
some
is the
stuff
way
that
bottom.
reminded me of. So there was my friend Krakowski, my Polak. I was walking with my Polak, and I'm standing in the middle of the street, and there's like, you know, the 4 street lights pretty much on me, and he's like trying to stumble through some bushes, and he's like looking straight at me, like, I see you, motherfucker. Quit hiding. I'm like, I'm standing in the middle of the street. How am I hiding? But yeah, and then there was another one that you were talking about how. Sorry, that didn't go anywhere, but I thought it was hilarious.
It was a funny joke, yeah.
This one is going to be funny because it didn't happen to me per se. I had a roommate, my friend, the Reggie. What was that dating thing that was attached to Facebook for a while? Is it still?
Facebook dating?
Yeah, but it had like a name for it. It was like
Zeus.
Yeah, Zeus. So he was meeting chicks left and right.
I've been married for almost 15 years.
He was meeting
I got nothing.
He was meeting chicks all the time on Zeus, and he would take them back to the apartment that we were in. And I guess on the way home, she puked in his car. And then, so he came inside, and you know, in that morning, he woke up and he was trying to leave. And I'm like, what's up? He's like, I got a girl in the car. She puked in the car, and so I left her in there.
Oh my
I'm like, dude, she could be dead, man. Yeah. We don't live in a safe neighborhood. There's a crackhead streetwalker area. It's, yeah.
Does he know Chris Farley?
But yeah.
He died on puke.
But yeah, no, he had to clean it up. He didn't. I'm like, I would have made her clean it up. Shit, it's her puke. That's all I got.
Puke. That's a
so if this is a lesson to any of you, don't propose.
Here we go. Hang on. Let's get ready for it. He's got a stupid punchline here.
Don't propose to your girlfriend while you're drunk on a crotch rocket. That's pretty much all I'm going to say. So.
He did it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was episode 22 of the Boundless PodTrap. Thank you all for listening. Please be sure to listen to our other podcast, the Boundless PodTrap Movie Review. We have
got a
very
guest on our next
special
one.
guest this week, John Marshall.
I wouldn't say special.
We're gonna talk about 2004's The Terminal with Tom Hanks, Catherine Zeta-Jones.
And I'll tell you, Tom Hanks is one of my favorite actors.
Stanley
I've never
Tucci.
seen that movie up
You
until
did,
this.
yeah.
I had it for a while, but I never saw it.
I think my favorite part about that movie is when she goes under the wire, under the laser thing.
Kokoria.
You had to say something like that, didn't you?
Kokrosha?
You're stupid.
Kokrosha?
But yeah.
That was entrapment. Sorry.
Thanks for listening, and we got a punishment for Justin.
He's proposing to 12
he's
women.
He's gonna get married
12, they went up?
13 different women.
6 locations, 2 women at each one.
Oh, I thought it was 6 women all the time.
No, 6 locations.
Dude, I'm going to have way too many wives.
Yeah.
You have enough problems pleasing one. They gotta please 13.
I wouldn't say I have a problem pleasing.
I would. Crystal would.
It's just a problem.
Anyways.
Thank you.
Why you do this to me?
Why you do this to me, dude? But anyway, thank you so much for listening. We will see you next week. Same fat time, same fat channel.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Love you.
If you liked us, thank you. If you don't, well, just go.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode. Join us next time for more absurdity that only the guys from the Boundless PodTrap can bring you.